Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast. In this edition, we'll be previewing the big game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Wednesday. Tottenham host Liverpool in the Carabao Cup semi-final first leg, 8 p.m. kickoff at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. At the end of this show, we will be getting a transfer update, a comprehensive transfer update from journalist Josh Hughes. So we look forward to that. We're live on YouTube, on X, Facebook and Twitch. So please do get involved. Let us know how you are feeling right now as a Tottenham Hotspur fan, and let us know how you are feeling ahead of this big game on Wednesday. Now, just before we get into it, we have been shortlisted at the Sports Podcast Awards in the category Best Team Podcast. So please do vote for us. It would literally take you a few seconds. Also, we were the #1 football podcast this week in Hong Kong, and in the top 10 football podcast charts in a number of countries this week: South Korea, Czech Republic and Australia. So thank you so much for listening. And that is a reminder that all of these podcasts are available on all major audio platforms. Now, back with me is Josh Hughes, of course, football journalist. Josh, how are you?
Well, good, thank you. Yeah, it's back down to earth and all calm now after another defeat. It just seems to be rinse and repeat. I think this one hurt a little bit less because I felt actually, I think hurt more less because of the result, but actually I was probably the angriest I've been post-game purely because of the referee. But it was bound to happen at some point. I think we've actually been all right in terms of referees this season. I can't remember too many times where I felt that enraged by the referee. But look, going into a massive week, and I think that that's kind of the attitude I'm trying to take with Spurs at the minute, is as much as the kind of times where I feel down about Spurs, there's so many games coming thick and fast at the minute that I'm just trying to think, well, on to the next. Surely it can't get worse. Surely at some point it's going to click and we're going to get players back and we're going to have January editions. You know, it's a good start with Kinski, and, you know, we're obviously going to speak about some of the players being linked with the club. And I must say that there's not a single player that we're being linked with that I think on paper is a bad player. They all look pretty good. So even the ones I know less about. So there's reasons to be stupidly optimistic. But I suppose that's what is being a football fan without faith, eh? And we've got a massive game against Liverpool. It's a cup game. We'll probably get battered 6 or 7, but it's also a cup game and you never know what's going to happen. So look, I'm optimistic. I'm looking forward to going tomorrow nonetheless. I love the torture, it seems. I think all Spurs fans love the torture. But no, I think as far as the spell of things has gone in the last few weeks with all the injuries, the illness, I don't think that we are at our lowest ebb anymore. I do see some green shoots at least.
How unlucky can this football club be, though, Josh? Because, you know, the sickness bug going into that Newcastle game. If I could just ask you about that Newcastle game, because we did give a lot of fight, did give a lot of spirit. And when you look at the amount of injuries, suspensions, now sickness bug that Ange Postecoglou has had to deal with, I felt like we did give a really good account of ourselves. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And do you know what? For someone that's so critical of Ange Postecoglou, and the amount of times I come on here and moan about him, I'll give him his props. I wanted to see us tweak the system, and it felt like we did. In fact, it felt like we did against Wolves as well, where the fullbacks just didn't commit as high. They were a little bit more restrained, and they still went forward in the right moments. And, you know, we had plenty of chances to go and win the game. Plenty of chances. I must say, you know, having watched a lot of analysis now about this handball incident with Joelinton, you know, I can understand that the officials made the right decision by the letter of the law, but I think that that is just the worst law going. And of course, you're going to say it when it goes against you. And if we were all Newcastle fans, we'd probably say, well, what was he going to do about it? There's nothing he could have done. And, you know, we'd have a different view, right? But I guess the fact that that pass or that transition was stopped and it played just this perfect through ball to Bruno Guimaraes, who just needed to play a 5-yard pass to Anthony Gordon. For me, there's something that doesn't sit right about it at all. And in many ways, I think the sickness bug and the referee take a bit of the heat off of Postecoglou after what is yet again another defeat. And, the league table is not pretty at all. And I think by hook or by crook, we have to start winning games. And, I was in conversation with Gareth McGuinness, obviously channel regular. I came to this, as much as I have said, I'm not convinced by Postecoglou yet, I do think it's the right thing that we give him until the summer. Ultimately, I don't see how another manager is going to do significantly better with the amount of injuries and the illness and all of this stuff. I think take any squad in the Premier League, bar maybe Liverpool and Chelsea, and give them this number of injuries and see how they do. I mean, look at City without Rodri. That's only one player. And it's been a massive drop-off. Of course, now they're starting to win again, but the drop-off was noticeable. And I think looking forward, we just need to start picking up results by hook or by crook. And when these players come back, and I know we've obviously got a boost with Mikey Moore and Richarlison, hopefully going to be back soon, and Kinski is available for the game. He's got his work permit sorted. And some of the players we've been linked with, I'm expecting an upturn in results. And if there isn't that upturn in results, then I don't think anyone here can say that it's good enough. And I don't think anyone can carry on defending it. But we've got to at least see how it works with players coming back and give him until the end of the season. After a lot of reflecting, I think that's where I stand on it.
Now, also back on the channel, but on the first time on the Spurs Chat podcast, G Moore. G, great to have you here, all the way from Brazil, and what a backdrop that is. Tell us where you are.
Thanks, Chris. All right, Josh. Hi, guys out there. Very nice to be on the show. Thank you very much for inviting me back. After previous shows, I loved the one I missed yesterday. Absolutely brilliant, absolutely fantastic show. I'm going to catch up on that. I'm going to find 3 hours and work that into the night. Okay, Josh, come on. It's not that bad. Come on, come back. No, I'm here in a place called Santa Catarina, which is the state of in Brazil. It's down the south, probably the second lowest state in Brazil before we hit Argentina and Uruguay. And the place is called Balneário Camboriú. So it's a bit of a mouthful. It took me a while to get there, but it's probably the biggest tourist destination now, even above Rio in Brazil. It's very affluent here, very safe. So that's why I live here. I don't have any problems here as such with that. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place to live. And I live like 10 minutes drive from the city centre, which is much like Dubai. It just goes boom, and it's got 7 kilometers of beach. It looks just like Ipanema. Ipanema's next door to us. Ipanema. But they made the beach about a year or two back. They actually extended the beach out into the sea. They tripled the size, well, even 4 times the size out into the sea. So they've got this massive beach. And if any of you want to have a look at the place, it's well worth having a look. If you want to come over, or just look on the internet. I mean, the fireworks display, it just made London's look like like a kiddie's party, really. It was ridiculous what they did here. Unbelievable. But the place itself is so nice. You can see out here what this is like. I just love living up in the trees, I always wanted to live in a tree house, so I built this place here with the view I've always wanted, and that was it.
G, tell me how you're feeling as a Spurs fan right now. Of course, it was another defeat at the weekend, and as Josh spoke about there, a lot of the injuries, suspensions, and the sickness bug. What did you make of the game? What have you made of the season so far?
Pretty much as I've said before, but for those who didn't see it, but I think what we're going through, I know it's no excuse, people say, but I think it is. It's a reason why we're not where we are, is because of what's happened with the players, not having them. I mean, look at Liverpool today; they've got one missing. this is the difference. You know, if this had happened to them, I think they would have been struggling. I know some people say, oh, maybe they've got a big enough depth, but I think even this would have crippled them in some degree, you know. So I think until we get the players back at least, and then we get the original project started, because don't forget, it's not just having these players back. These players still have to be a lot of them have to be replaced or backed up in some way. So until this is done, I'm holding judgment out until at least the end of the season. I want to give him 2 summer windows. You know, you can't include the first one because we lost Kane, and we lost the Kane team, and we lost the part of the bus team and everything about it. But as it goes for results now, I think we kicked in pretty well for against Newcastle. I was really pleasantly surprised with the attitude and everything, considering not just the injuries, but the players, they weren't fit to go out there. You know, I've heard about Gray was pretty bad, illness-wise, but he just soldiered on. I mean, he's going to be a massive Spurs player for us. I just see such a big future for this guy. Like I know some people have said as well on here, but I really do. I think he's got everything that we want. He's got that dare to do, you know what I mean, attitude in him. And pretty much echoing what Josh has said about the game, you know, you can't get more unlucky about that handball, you know. And the week before, I mean, we have unluck, but we also cause our own unluck as well. You know, it's just true to say, you know, new players, young players, they sometimes need to relax just a little bit. It's great. We have these guys coming in, but like, I mean, we gave away 2 silly penalties against Chelsea, where there was really no threat, although the ball was only just inside the box. You know, there's no threat to give those away. And Son missing the penalty the week before us, you know, it's like we're also causing a little bit of it, which I suppose is what happens when you are in such a kind of battered and tattered state of repairs or whatever. You know, maybe this is what happens there. I'm not trying to justify it, just reporting it as I see it. You know, that's all there is to it. But I'm not down and out about it. I think it's great. I think if we put this attitude in against Liverpool, which we'll go on to as the talk goes, I won't be at all disappointed with the lads, you know, and the way we are. So that's it. But I'm an optimistic guy. Sorry about that. I just am, you know.
Also joining us this evening is Alex Davis, of course, Spurs YouTuber. Alex, how are you?
Sorry about the latest. Like latest is great. That's like they say every single time. But sorry about that. I had to bench because I put my priority on benching rather than watching Tottenham. But anyway, moving on. You know how it is. Thank you for inviting me, Chris.
Hello, exactly. Hello. I get a hello this evening.
Yeah. No. Just you know how it is, Chris. You know how I am every single time. You know what I mean?
I know.
I'm straight to the point, am I? You know what I mean? So, you know,
I'm used to you now.
Yeah, you should be used to me. You know what I mean? You know, everybody. I mean, everyone's in the hate him in the comments like they always do. But like I said, the ratings killer for a reason. You know what I mean?
That's not true, actually, Alex. You have mixed opinions, but there is not a lot of hate. It is mixed. But this is why we have everyone on, because all opinions are welcome. You know, we've got to hear it all. How are you feeling right now as a Spurs fan?
Same as I was before. Don't like the manager. Don't think he's a coach. I don't want to repeat what I've said before. I think there's been a lot of excuses for this manager. I'm sorry. I heard a lot of excuses. I've heard a lot of excuses just now that we've got injuries. Well, I'm sorry. No, we haven't got that. Well, I'm sorry. The injuries are down to him as far as I'm concerned. The fact that I'm hearing about Kane, he never had Kane. I'm sorry. This nonsense about he have Kane. Kane told Postecoglou he was leaving from the very get-go. So he never had Kane in the first place. So he knew what he needed to get. The replacement for Kane was Richarlison. That just sums it all up. And we know what Richarlison's all about. I mean, everyone's saying, oh, he's back. I don't really care if he's back. I want him out of the club. I'm sorry, he's bang average. Honestly, I don't even know where we're going with this. And then Solanke's not even that much better. So, I mean, yeah, he should be doing more with these players. And then if people are telling me Bentancur, I heard a few people on the fan show saying, oh, Bentancur's coming back. Who cares about Bentancur? I'm sorry, he's not been too great either. Like I say, the midfield's not been great. The only thing I will agree with, and I still think he should go on loan, or somebody should be actually proper defender or proper midfielder next to him, and you think he should be in midfield, because I don't think our midfields are any good anyway. For me, anyway, is Archie Gray, and that's at a push. That's at a push, because he should be on loan. Like Burvout should be on loan. You know what I mean? Because I'm sorry, the squad was never good enough, and that's why I said. And I'm saying I wanted Højbjerg back, but we've not replaced Højbjerg, and I've been saying that he's been bang average the last how many years? You know, what does that say to you? You know what I mean? So I'm sorry. I know that's not going to make. I know that maybe is not going to please everybody that I'm saying this, but unfortunately, this is the truth. I say for myself, and that's it. And that's all I've got to say. So I just love to hear these excuses for this manager. These excuses, I wish these excuses were for Pochettino, Jose Mourinho, who I couldn't stand. You know I couldn't stand him. You knew I couldn't stand him, right? When Jose Mourinho didn't get the much love when he was doing what he was doing. Conte, I wish there was much love for them. And Nuno as well, who I couldn't stand either. So I don't know where this is coming from, to be honest with you. If he gets the Carabao Cup, great. Give him a blue Peter badge and bye-bye. Because he's no different to bloody Ramos or George Graham. We're not celebrating them two managers, are we? Let's be honest here.
Alex, every single time you come on, and you know what a big Pochettino fan I am or was, you always go on about Maurizio Pochettino. Surely we've got to move on from that.
Listen, I've moved on. I'm saying that I've told you what sort of managers I need. We need coaches that are going to improve players. I saw 2 coaches, right, let alone 2 coaches, then 4 coaches on Sunday that can coach their players individually. Marco Silva, Kieran McKenna, right, okay, and Amarin, right, and what's his name? I forgot his name now. Sorry, I've got memory loss now. It's Liverpool manager as well. Right, those are coaches. Slot, proper coaches, right? That improve players. This guy says, "I'm not going to change." What does the best manager in the last decade have said? Quick Guardiola said, "Oh, I need to adapt. I might need to adapt right now." But our manager's saying, "No, I don't want to adapt. No, it's who we are, mate. It's who we are." You know what I mean? So I don't think it makes sense to me. You know, I don't think it makes sense. You know, so that's what I've got to say. I'm sorry, I just don't understand what is the, and I just keep on hearing, oh, we play so well against Newcastle. We walked right into their lap. And the thing is, though, I saw Eddie Howe, yeah? You know why they're catching fouls? You know why they're going down? Yeah, because they were going back to their manager, and the manager's thinking, yeah, this is not going to plan right now. Okay, so he starts planning meticulously, right? We had the second half to score a goal. We did absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. It was quite straightforward for Newcastle, let's be honest here. The same old. Yeah? Because we do the same things. We try and do the same things, trying to go down the wing and try and put the ball in. Right? Yeah, the first goal was a good goal. I'll give him that. Poor should be doing more of that. I'd said that he should be more of a wing back. Yeah? Right? But we don't, but we didn't do nothing. You see, this is the problem. Kulusevski, I've been told, and I'm sorry, that's all I've got to say on that one, to be honest with you. So
Alex, every single time you're on the show, I always ask you this question. I'm going to ask you again. What positives do you take from this season so far?
I stick to what I say. This guy, the team does work hard, but that's at a detriment of the squad, and that's why we're getting injuries, hamstring injuries.
And what players have you been impressed by?
The only one that at the moment I think he should be doing more with. I think at the moment I don't think anyone's improved. I'm sticking by what I say. No one's improved. Don't talk to me about Kulusevski because he's doing the same thing he did at Parma. Right, go and watch him at Parma. Yeah, go and watch him when he started.
You don't think Kulusevski's improved this season?
No, he hasn't improved. He's gone back to what he was at Parma. I'll stick by what I say. Sorry.
What about Archie Gray? You're impressed with Archie Gray.
Archie Gray's done okay. He's done okay. The only reason why we're going over the top about him because he's young, and I still think he should be. I think there should be a proper midfielder next to him. Right now, there was chances to get Locatelli in the summer. There was chance to get the player that went to Brighton, who went to Celtic, but he don't get on with what is his name? With Postecoglou, the Brighton midfielder. I can't remember his name now. That was a good player.
Basuma?
No, not Basuma. He was at Celtic. I can't remember his name now. But yeah, I think there should have been a proper midfield leader next to him, because I don't think we've got any leaders. That's why I'm saying I'd rather have Højbjerg next to him, because I think Højbjerg's got more something about him. I'm not saying he's be all and end all here, but I don't think any of our midfielders have got any leadership about them. I think Sar's okay. I think you could do more with him. I've got to be honest. I think he just works hard for me. Bergvall I think he's just been okay. He loses the ball too much for me. Sorry. Same with Kulu in certain areas. I think he's more to like I compare him to like Lamela or Dirk Kuyt for Liverpool. That sort of player. I don't think he's any more than that. I think we should be doing more with Maddison. Sorry, Maddison. I understand. Yeah, he does have his. He doesn't play well. I do agree. Absolutely, 110%. But he's not the number 10. He's always all over the pitch. I think he's trying to do everything. I think he needs to be down the pitch being this number 10. He needs to be that number 10. That's when you'll be more effective. And when you get the best out of Maddison, you get big scores, like Man City 4-0.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Southampton, was it? Beat Southampton, even though they're absolutely bang average Southampton. And look what happened, they sacked their manager. So
Alex,
that's it.
We're here obviously to preview the Tottenham Liverpool game on Wednesday, but I want to start with the big news of the day. Of course, Tottenham Hotspur put out a statement. We're delighted to announce that we have exercised the option to extend Heung-min Son's contract that will run until the summer of 2026. The player has now made 431 appearances for Spurs. He is the 11th all-time appearance holder at the club. 169 goals, 125 goals in the Premier League. And Postecoglou on this has said, brilliant. The aim is to make sure he finishes his Tottenham career with silverware. Are you a Heung-min Son fan? Are you pleased about this news, Alex? Alex, you're on mute. That might be a good thing for some people, but
I know some people like it. I think it's very lazy from the club. I've got to be honest. I think we should have done. I would have let him go this season. I've got to be honest. I don't think he's a captain. I think someone said to me that Kulu should be a captain. I don't think there's a bad shout, to be honest with you. But I would have let him go. I've got to be honest. I think that's for commercial reasons. I'm trying to say that diplomatically. And also the fact that we've got was it Min Hook? I think it is his name. Sorry if I got that wrong.
Jan Min Hook, yeah.
Jan Min Hook. I think he's kind of trying to test the water with him as well. But I think the wingers that we have got are less to be desired. You know what I feel about Johnson. I think Werner, we should cut his loan straight away, as far as I'm concerned. Alderweireld, I think we went all over the top about him. Got to be honest. Yeah, I just think at the moment, I think we could have got a better winger at the moment. I just don't rate any of our wingers at the moment. I'm sorry. I don't think anybody can take their man on. I think they're more inside forwards. I think Johnson could be more up front for me because he doesn't do anything, then score goals. If he doesn't score goals, what does he do? Werner, I'm sorry, I can't do it with him. I'm sorry, I can't do it. He's the problem is what I say every single time. Nice guys, too many nice guys in the forward line. Too many nice guys at the club. Yeah, there's no arrogance. It seems now we've got our goalkeeper who's arrogant. Cario's arrogant, but none of them are front line. Have got no arrogance about them. The only one that's got arrogance is Richarlison, but he's got the wrong sort of arrogance.
Well, whether people like it or not, I think this is an absolutely fantastic move for Heung-min Son to be staying at the club for another year. I am absolutely delighted with the news. Josh, who are you agreeing with, me or Alex?
I've got to admit, For me, I'm actually pretty pleased with the news. Now, I've been quite critical of Son, and I think that's probably down to the fact that I hold him to such high standards, and he simply is not, living up to them. And I think the obvious comparison is, the one that gets made all the time is Salah, who is older
Yeah.
than him, and the numbers he's producing, and of course he's with better players, but what he's doing on his own is far superior to what Son is doing. And there's all sorts of debates about being overworked and this, that, and the other. I think fundamentally, he's an absolute legend of the club. One of my favourite players, certainly of my lifetime. I had the pleasure of meeting him before the Ajax semi-final. He was suspended for the first leg, and he stopped and had a full 5-minute chat with me, which is lovely. But where I'm looking at it now is I think it's time for him. I would still be looking to go and get someone to replace him in the summer. Now, of course, him getting a new contract means that Spurs could, in the summer, get a transfer fee for him, which they wouldn't do otherwise. But, and I know we've had a debate about this before, Chris, I personally would like to see a situation where Son is still in the squad for now, but can be brought in as an impact sub and played in the right games. And we bring in someone who is that long-term successor who can take the baton, and be that first choice. And if we're able to use Son with his experience and with his, two-footedness and his ability, I think we just may find that we get that little bit more out of him that I think a lot of Spurs fans don't know if we can get. But if he's staying to be a guaranteed starter and that means we're not going to move on from him, then I'm concerned, because I think that sometimes with Spurs, we get a little bit too sentimental. And I think really, if we want to give Ange the best opportunity of succeeding, I just think we need fresher legs. We need someone who's got a bit more pace, who's got a bit more stamina. And that's natural. This is nothing against Son. He's just starting to get to that point where he's probably just past the peak of his career now. And he's progressively starting to get that little bit slower and the touch isn't quite as good. But I think he's a great person to have around the club. And, he's been a great servant to the club. And I certainly wouldn't want to see a player like that treated anywhere close to how Hugo Lloris was treated in his final days at the club. I think, but at the same time, the news still gives us options, but we still need a successor.
G, are you happy with the news that Heung-min Son's here for another year?
Yeah, of course, I'm delighted. It's a fantastic player for us. Will go down as, I don't know in what respect, but legendary is a bit of a word that's thrown around with everybody. But let's face it, he's given us so much joy as fans, considering we've not won anything. The guy's just been absolutely brilliant for our club. And I think in the future, he'll be a fantastic ambassador as well, with Ledley. Especially in the Asian side of the world, where he is earning us a lot of money. There's no doubt about it. The club, not us, but the club. So yeah, of course, I'm happy he's there, and I totally echo what Josh has said. Sorry, but took the words out of my mouth there. Really, we have to bring someone else in, and that process has to start. Should have started really, but it has to start now. Definitely, I think with Yang, I think he's going to be a great mentor for him. It's going to help him out a real lot, especially with the language and everything. He's going to need a buddy there right now, and that's going to be perfect. So, yeah.
Let's hear now from Ange Postecoglou, providing the team news ahead of the Liverpool game on Wednesday.
Ange, hi. Any good news on the injury and illness front?
It depends. I think net-wise, we're still down. We'll get Bentancur back, but we lose Madison and Pape Sarr by suspension. So a couple of numbers down there. And then in terms of the injuries, no one back. Mikey potentially could be available to be on the bench. Everyone else from the weekend certainly feel better. Radu's kind of recovered. Archie's better. They were the kind of main ones. Decky was a little bit under the weather, but he's good. So pretty much as was on the weekend, plus Bentancur minus the other two.
And is Richarlison back in training?
Yeah, he's training. Yeah.
How close is he?
Yeah, we're hoping. Well, the whole plan with him was to get, obviously, with what's happened to him this year, to get 2 solid full weeks of training. So that's his second week will be next week, and get through that, it'll be fine.
Alex, going to come to you. I'm going to put some teams on the screen now. The one on the left is the team that Ange Postecoglou put out against Manchester United in the last round, of course, beating them 4-3 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Forster, Porro, Dragushin, Gray, Spence, Sarr, Basuma, Kulusevski, Maddison, Son and Solanke. And the team on the right is our most recent game in our 2-1 home defeat against Newcastle. Austin, Porro, Dragushin, Gray, Spence, Bergvall, Sarr, Johnson, Kulusevski, Timo Werner and Dominic Solanke. And the subs at the weekend, Basuma, Dorrington, Hardy, Lancashire, Elise, Maddison, Reguilon, Son and Whiteman. We know that Maddison and Sarr are suspended for this game on Wednesday. Now, the Standard have predicted their lineup. They think that Kinski will make his competitive debut for Tottenham, having signed on Sunday. They have gone with the back four of Porro, Dragushin, Gray and Spence. In midfield, Basuma, Bentancur and Kulusevski. And then the front three of Johnson, Solanke and Son. What changes do you think that Ange Postecoglou will have to make for this game on Wednesday? Because it is fair to say we are down to bare bones. It seems like every single game that comes around, Ange Postecoglou has got players missing.
I think Kinski has to play. I've got no doubt about that now. Austin was okay; he was good, especially the circumstances. But I think for me, that's just not a. We've got no choice, but we have to play Kinski. And as far as I'm concerned, if he plays well, Vicario has to fight for his place back. That's the way for me it is. I don't, like I say, Chris, and you know how I do this. I don't do backups. I don't do cover. If we're going to do cover or backups, go and get Harry Winks back. Go and get Sissoko back. Go and get all those players back, because I'm not interested. This is why we've got Timo Werner in, who's a backup. And oh, look what happened. Timo Werner is now part of the first team now. You know what I mean? That's the definition of backups. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm now ruthless now as far as I'm concerned. If Kinski does well, I don't think Vicario should just get straight back in. I think there needs to be a bit more people competing for their places as far as I'm concerned. As for the right back, Porro, I've got to be honest, I've not been impressed with him this season. I think Spence has been better. Ironically, Spence, because I think Spence has been unlucky, to be honest with you, because this manager refuses to play him.
But Alex, for this particular game,
I think Spence should be playing. As far as I'm concerned, I think unfortunately we've got no choice. Even though, because I don't think he doesn't trust Dorrington. I don't really understand the whole thing with Dorrington, to be honest with you. I don't understand it. I don't understand it really, because he's a defender. But you know, it is what it is. So I think we haven't got a choice in terms of. I think maybe I have to switch it a little bit. Maybe put Spence, who's at left back. Then maybe have to put Porro there, even though I don't think he's been that great. I think we're going to have to play Dragushin and Gray. I think at the moment, I think Bentancur will come straight back in. And then is it Basuma still? He's still available at the moment. I think it's either going to be him or Bergvall. And then I think Kulusevski. And then the only thing I don't really like at the moment, I don't like the fact that you've got Johnson. If you're going to do Johnson and Werner, or Johnson and what's his name, and Son, I think they're too similar for me as wingers. I think they're way too similar. Where they're two like inside forwards with pace. I think you do need a bit of a variety on either side for me, but it is what it is. And then I think Solanke is going to be up front. And I'd like to see because like I say, we put ourselves in this position as far as I'm concerned. I don't feel sorry for us, Chris. I'm sorry. I don't feel sorry for us. I think this is excuses because everyone was talking about our squad being so good last season. Our squad is going to be so good this season. And lots of people like myself were saying, no, we're not. We all knew Van der Ven Hansen was going to click. We all knew it. So I don't know where people are making these excuses. And the thing that annoys me at the moment, I'm hearing that, when we get our players back, right, Romero and Van der Ven, we're going to click. Well, I'm sorry. The best pairing this season has been Dragusin and Davis. That's been our best pairing so far this season, right? It hasn't been Romero and Van der Ven. And I think I can, if I had the time, I'll get the stats on it. I'm sorry, I don't know where this making it up about thing at the moment. I think Davis has been actually been.
I think it's fair to say though, Alex. I think most Spurs fans said it in the summer that we needed more signings, we needed more players, we needed more experience in the summer. I think most people said that. Most people that come on here, including myself, said that we need more signings in the summer. Ange Postecoglou has defended the fact that he didn't get those players in. He was happy with the squad going into the season. I completely agree with you because when we had those injuries last season, I said myself on this channel many times, if we have a couple of injuries again to key players, we could be in trouble, and that is exactly what has happened. But
I forgot Reguilon. Yeah, Reguilon could be left back. So you could have Spence and so I've just saw something in the chat. Reguilon and Spence could be right back, and Reguilon could be left back. Which is interesting because Reguilon was out the picture a couple of halfway through the season, wasn't he? So that's interesting, isn't it? So yeah, for me, I think he's got his hands to hide behind his back. Yes, he has, but I think he should be using some of the youngsters. I think there's a lot of excuses for the fact that he's not using any youngsters for me, and unfortunately, I think this is where I've got my doubts here about this guy.
You want him to use the youngsters or the academy players, but Austin has come in, and you want a brand new 21-year-old to come straight in.
He's forced to use it though, Chris. He's been forced to use him because he's not been using him.
But sometimes it's about those young players or the fringe players, academy players, whatever you want to call them, grabbing their opportunities. I don't think that Brandon Austin could have grabbed his opportunity anymore. Do you not agree?
I'm not disagreeing with you, but the thing is though, he's had the opportunity to do that before. Right, but he's playing Forster, I mean. So, like,
number 2.
I think he's been forced into getting playing players when he should have been playing them a long time ago. Spencer's been available to him for a long time. He's refused to play him.
Yeah.
Reguilon has been available to him. He's refused to play him.
But what I mean is when those players get those opportunities, it is about grabbing them. And I think that is a real... I think that's a positive in itself this season because when players have come in, even though they have been forced, I agree with you, they have grabbed their opportunities, which they're then putting themselves in that window to say, look, boss, I'm here and this is how I perform.
But agree, Chris, but some of the players that have been injured right now, Adoji, Poro, have not been playing well. Right? Yeah. And there have been opportunities for them to be coming in earlier. That's the point I'm making. I hear your argument. Right, but this is not the argument I'm making at the moment, right? The thing is, I'm not trying to be horrible here. I'm trying to challenge the opinion, right? I'm trying to challenge what I'm seeing at the moment, right? I'm not here to be anyone's best friend here, right? The fact is, right, proper coaches, right, Doji has not been playing well this season. He's been up and down this season. Poor has been terrible this season, right? He's been defensively awful this season, right? Spence has been sitting on the bench, not waiting for his opportunity. A proper coach is sitting there saying, "Sorry, mate, you need to have your day in the sunshine right now." You know what I mean? That's using your squad. That is using your squad. You know what I mean? I don't see any other teams. Right? When you talk to me about any other teams that are above us, Bournemouth, Fulham, who else is there? Nottingham Forest. You're telling me they got a better squad than us?
Yeah, at the moment.
No, sorry. At the beginning of the season, did we have
mate. I can't listen to this no more. I totally disagree with all you're saying. More or less.
Tell me a football opinion why you disagree with me then. Sorry, Chris.
I don't even know where to start with all that.
We have got 10 players out, by the way.
Okay. Okay, Romero. Okay, Romero's been injured. Okay, cool. Yeah, but then Romero's not been playing well. Like I said before, I think Davis. Yeah, that's unlucky, but we know why. You know what I mean? G, if you disagree with me, tell me why you disagree with me. I'm open to it, mate. That's what I'm here for. You know what I mean? Tell me why.
I can't say any more than I disagree with you, because it's just the opposite of what you're saying. If you just take whatever you said there, apart from a few bits, I totally agree with you about the left and right wing, and there's a few cases there where I strike you right, but the rest of it, I don't know where this negativity comes from, man. It's like we're in a bad state. On the one hand, we've got all these injuries, and on the other hand, you're saying, yeah, we've got no option. So what is it?
But so you're saying it's negativity. Okay, so
no, it's not negativity.
So what have I said? That's not what's fact. What I've not said is what's happened at the moment.
Despite the negativity, all right. Despite that, you're saying it's no excuse because we've got all the injuries, all right. Yeah. That's what you've stated many times, right? And then when it's come across, well, who's going to fit in there? You've gone, well, we have to have him because we've got no one else.
Yeah, because the manager's put himself in that position.
Sense,
yeah, but it doesn't make it does make sense.
We've only just met without saying hello or anything, but I've got to say, I just don't get it. I just don't get half of it.
I'm just asking you. Okay, fair enough.
I've shows, and I'll get to maybe like 10% of what you've just said about. You know what I mean? Like to list all the reasons and find all the stats and everything else. You know, like when you have certain players out, it's not just that we've had players out. We've had like main players out. Main players that would have started every game. Once you do this,
can I just ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Every other player then has to then play in a different way. They don't know
half
the time. They have to play differently. And then
can I ask you a question?
You know what I mean?
Can I ask
What's your question, Alex?
Go on,
right. In our big wins, who was in central defence?
Which wins?
Man City, who's our central defensive partnership.
Yeah, but you can't like just go straight in on one game or cherry pick everything that's going on.
I'm just asking you a question. I'm asking the question.
Let's take last season, all right? We did a lot better than what we thought we were going to do.
Yeah, because we had one game a week,
and we didn't have a striker.
Okay, but we have one game a week.
We didn't have a striker, mate. We didn't have a striker. We were the Kane team without Kane.
Okay, we'd never had. Okay, I've already answered that question about Kane. We never had Kane. We never had Kane. Kane said at the beginning of the summer. Kane said at the beginning of the summer. What did Postecoglou say? What did Postecoglou say?
Mate. You can't just go in there like a week before the season starts and go bum 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 bum. You know, you've got to be Harry Potter to do that kind of magic. You know what I mean? Come on. You're not going to do it. It's not going to happen either. It's not going to happen over one summer. You can forget.
Let me just answer this question about rebuild. Let me just answer this question.
Getting rid of Deadwood and finding someone who happens to be running out of their contract, which is a good thing right now because there are a few of those around. But basically, it's that, or just finding a bargain basement somewhere. You know what I mean? And getting the right people in to do that. But
let me just answer that question about. Let me just
windows to change out. We had a defensive part of the bus team. We had a Kane team. Sorry, but it was. He was there until a week before the season. You know what I mean? It was a Kane team. We had 3 part of the bus managers before that who instilled their philosophy and bored us all to tears. First time I ever fell asleep, by the way, watching a Conte. 3 times I did that. We didn't have a shot on target, I think, for 3 or 4 games, did we? Or something. It was just unbelievably bad. And now we've got to reverse all that. You know what I mean? Superman, it's kryptonite to Superman right now. We've really got to give this guy a chance and give him the time and stop like battering on, beating the guy with a brush all the time. Every time we come on.
Can I come back to some of these points? You said about Kane.
You're just going to carry on battering the same ones.
No. I'm just with.
I've heard it, mate. I've heard it all before.
I've been talking your points, and unfortunately, this is where I like this sort of thing. So I like.
Me too.
So let's go back to what you said. You said that it's a rebuild. If we're rebuilding, where we're rebuilding from, because we didn't win anything under Pochettino. So when you're rebuilding, you actually win something, and then you rebuild from that. We never won anything under Pochettino. No, we're going to go back to when we won, when we actually won. Yeah, but we actually won. If you actually won,
just do a rebuild. We've done that every season. We would have won loads of trophies doing that.
Okay.
Let's have a rebuild. Let's get rid of a manager after one season. or less.
Okay.
Let's
Well,
wait 4 months until we get a
well,
manager.
he's had 18 months. He's had 18 months already. He's
Huh?
had 18 months already, so that's enough time as far as I'm concerned. But anyway,
Well,
moving on.
enough time. He's only had one summer transfer window.
Well, it didn't take that one for Areola to make
and we've had
to
all these
rebuild the
injuries. We've had all
Bournemouth
these
team.
injuries and players out, not just from injuries, but for
Okay.
other things as well. You know, and all right, you're saying about pick and choose. You go on about how the training goes. I've got to ask you a question, mate. What training sessions have you been to where you can make that?
Oh, so we're now talking about what I know, I know as a trainer.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Just asking about this. You're battering on about this guy and about he's bad at training sessions. Which particular training session did you find were particularly bad that you went to? That you've
I didn't take any training sessions, but I know when someone's not a coach. I know he's not a coach.
Josh, come back, Josh, and help me out here. I want to know a question about.
Come back, Josh. Come back.
Can you make stuff up about a situation that
Because
I was running to get a biscuit and a bloody cup of tea. You two were like bloody. Fuck me. Seriously.
Yeah. Josh and I are leaving. We're going to leave you two to it.
There has to be a yang sometimes.
Look, right. Let me just dive in. I'll mention.
Hold on. All I asked was, what changes do you think Ange Postecoglou will make for Wednesday's game?
I know. It's just.
and Alex, you have riled a few people because we've actually had the funniest question in that I've ever seen. Someone asked, "What team does Alex support?"
This is a funny question, isn't it? This is the thing. It's like you can't. The thing is, though, you can't actually be honest about your team, right? You can't be honest with your team, especially in the Tottenham fan base, and you can't just be honest about it. And then you say that you're an Arsenal fan. You've got to be a similar. It's so annoying. It's so annoying.
No one said Arsenal fan. They just said, "What team do you support?"
Well, they know what team I support. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be doing a channel that is Mr. Box Office TV. I wouldn't be a long-suffering Tottenham fan if I was a Tottenham fan. I just think it's a silly question. And then I just think it's just sums it up. The thing is, though, Chris, yeah, I think
bit of banter.
Yeah, I know, but I know what you're saying.
Right, it is a bit of banter. You know,
I'm not rattled, Josh. Trust me, there's better than that. There's better than that, mate. You know what I mean?
It's nice to see you smile, though, Alex. You don't smile enough, in my opinion.
Oh, Chris, I smile a lot, mate. Don't worry about it, mate. Don't worry, mate. You know what I mean? That's why I mentioned earlier.
We'll come back to you two in a minute. Josh, let's come to you. What changes do you think Ange Postecoglou will make? Because, of course, he's being forced into some changes. Of course, Maddison and Sarr not being available. The team that I read out that the Standard have predicted, do you agree with that?
Pretty much. I think it's just a debate of whether Kinski or Austin starts in goal, and that's about it. We don't really have a luxury of rotating a squad. We kind of have the players that have been listed, and that's about it. That's just where we're at the minute. Look, all I would say is on all of the stuff that's just been mentioned, I'll be brief. The thing that I don't understand...
Please be brief.
The thing that I don't understand is how box office... Alex, you keep going on about all this stuff and you're not really mentioning Daniel Levy, the common denominator in all of these problems. I'm not hearing you mention his name all too much, and I'm sure you don't like him. I'm sure you don't. But you're talking a lot about the players and the manager. I'm surprised you didn't go on about Daniel Levy, but based on your reaction, I think you can't stand him either. But I do agree with the fullback point, actually, because now we're looking at a situation with someone like Sergio Reguilon, who I thought actually did very good against Newcastle, where he's in the last 6 months of his contract. They're going to try and get him is it 6 months of his contract? I think it is, isn't it? Last 6 months?
Yeah.
So we're going to probably lose him on a free. We cannot afford to sell him because we do not have an option now. So he's going to have to play unless we're going to make do with Spence at left back, which I don't think he's comfortable enough doing. I thought he was actually quite poor at left back. And then we lose him for free. And this is a guy that did well at Brentford. Man United fans weren't displeased with him. He's got more experience than some of the others. In my opinion, he's a good player. I think he's had problems and he's obviously had injuries. He's had some issues and falling out with managers, but on his days, a good player. and we're now going to, have to play him. And if he plays well, and then what are we going to do? Offer him a contract? Why would he sign another contract? So it just, from that perspective, and same thing with Spence, I don't think, I don't think that Ange has got that right at all. And I would have liked to see those players given a chance earlier. Obviously, it seems like there was something personal between Reguilon and Ange, clearly, because why on earth would he wait this long to use him? And he wait this long to even put him into a match day squad on the bench? It was only, recently over the Christmas period that happened. So yeah, I mean, that's the big thing that I would agree with, with Alex about, because, that does concern me. I do think there's an element of, we need to use the squad better. We need to use the squad better. And I think that there is a situation where players could have been perhaps better prepared for something like an injury crisis to happen. But I also agree at the same time with what, Chris is saying about players taking that opportunity when it's presented to them. I don't think Austin could have done any better. I think
let me just say, Josh, someone like Sergio Reguilon should have been sold a long time ago, and he should have been replaced. We shouldn't have been in this position, certainly not now.
No, of course he shouldn't. But they couldn't get the deal done. And if he's still there, then, and we don't have a backup for Udogie, which we didn't, and I'm sorry, and some people will disagree with, Spence being poor at left back. I just don't think he looks comfortable defensively there. No doubt his ability.
Don't you think he was more threatening though on the left? I kind of agree with that, but I found that when he is on the right, he's not so attacking as he has been on the left.
Sure,
but maybe that's
my view of a fullback. I think a fullback is a defender first and foremost. That's
absolutely. No, I totally get.
I think it's all well and good being good at attacking.
You find Udogie up in the other penalty box, a lot of the time, or running around outside there. And I've just felt that maybe Spence was doing that quite a lot more. In fact, actually, probably in a bad way, because the goal that Liverpool scored against us early on that put the nail in the coffin, he was actually in. I think he would have stopped that shot. I think he would have stopped the play, but he was actually up the other end in their penalty box at that time. So
yeah, I mean, look, there's all sorts of issues I've got with the system and how the fullbacks are used, which is actually why I praised Postecoglou before for actually sitting the fullbacks deeper in the last couple of games. That's all I wanted to see, was a little bit more restraint and a bit more balance. But
I think he has a lot. Like I say, I think Spence is a little bit more. He seems to be more restrained when he's taking the Porro role. Do you know what I mean? When he is on that side, when he's in his natural position, I thought it was great in the centre.
I feel like Spence actually would perform better on the right if we play and use the fullbacks in the way that we did the last few games, where we have that more restrained approach. Yeah.
I don't understand why you're saying that we're defensively good. I don't understand it. So
I'm not saying that we're defensively good. I'm not saying that we're defensively good at all.
Because I don't think these tactics are helping our team at all. I've got to be honest. I don't think these. I'm sorry to judge you, Josh. It's just that because everyone's.
No. My point was that I've still got serious reservations about the system and about Ange as manager, but I wanted to see a little bit of restraint, and I thought that considering the players we've got out, that second half against Newcastle was probably the most solid we've looked defensively for quite some time. And that's saying something, considering the players that we actually had. It was Spence at centre-back, Reguilon, Gray, and then and Porro. And I would never have anticipated. When I saw that was what our back four was in the second half, my immediate thought was, we're going to be hit for 4 and 5 again.
Can I just answer a question? I really have to answer a question, Josh. I'm sorry. I have to do this. Do you think, though, because people keep on saying this, do you think Newcastle just restrained themselves? Because there was times in the game when they saw that it was going a little bit wrong, right? Then they were starting to get fouls, right? Then most of the players went to their manager, right? And they said, you know what? We're just going to keep deep, right? So do you think that was because of Newcastle being more restrained, right? Being more defensively tight, right? They let us on us, and then we went on the counter attack. Because I don't think I was there, right? I don't think we created that many good chances for me. I think the chance for Solanke, yes, cool. Should have scored. Should have done better with it. But other than that, I think Newcastle were had more gilt-edged chances for me on the break than us, to be honest with you. And let's be honest here, right? We had 10 minutes extra time to score a goal, and we didn't do that much. Let's be honest here.
I mean, let's also be balanced and say that Newcastle wasted about 6 or 7 of those 10 minutes.
Well, that's what people do, though. That's what teams do. Good teams do.
Newcastle were wasting time right off from the second half.
Yeah, but you had 10 minutes extra time
all the time. It's what they do. It's the way they play. You know, this is Newcastle. But normally Newcastle, if they see blood like they should have done against our kids and no centre backs and the rest of it, a normal Newcastle Howe, he would have gone for blood on that. He would have stuck 5 past us and gone for it. But he didn't. They came out second half and they were actually even then trying to restrict on time. See some of the things they were doing. It was unbelievable.
Let's get back to the subject. Josh, I'm going to stay with you for a second. I'm going to give everyone a little bit of a breather. We've got a clip from Arne Slot. It's about 4 minutes long. So just have a breather, everyone. This is what Arne Slot has said ahead of the Tottenham Hotspur game on Wednesday evening.
I think what we expect before we go into the game, that two teams have such a clear identity and playing style. That is, I think, what most people expect to see tomorrow again as well. So they have their identity, we have our own identity, and both teams trying to force that identity towards the other. And large parts of the away game 2 weeks ago, we could show our identity, but there were definitely also parts in the game where they showed how good of a team they are. Scoring 3 goals against us is also an accomplishment. I know we've scored 6 in that game as well, but scoring 3 against us is what not many teams have done till now. I think if you look at all the fixtures we've had this season, there are so many things going into a lineup. Short-term, long-term, qualities of the opponent, where are my players? So it's going to be always a decision made about, in our opinion, the best lineup for tomorrow. And in some situations for Southampton away or other games, in my opinion, the best lineup was the ones that didn't start a lot. And let's see what that is tomorrow for the game we play against Tottenham.
And you're saying there, you're looking at the players for tomorrow that maybe aren't getting those minutes. Is this a chance for those players that aren't getting those minutes to get 2 games in a row? Do you see the FA Cup as another opportunity for them?
Maybe I didn't use my words in the proper way. I didn't say that for tomorrow the players will play that haven't played much. I said there are many considerations you make before you make a lineup. One of them is the thing you just said, but there are many other things going into a lineup as well. So we might play a few players that haven't played all the games, and we might play a few players that have played all the games. And so I can tell you now what it would be. It's the first time we train again after Sunday. So yesterday, of course, the players were not off, but they did recovery. So let's see how they came out of the game, and then we will make the lineup for tomorrow. I think it would benefit every player that we had a disappointing result. We would have loved to win that game. So then every player wants to play 2 days later again. But every player that was not on the pitch would love to play tomorrow as well. So that's the good thing. They all want to play. Almost all of them are fit. That is quite special in this part of the season as well. And I would highlight more on the fact that these players show up every 3 days, because they did show up also against United. United, if I'm correct, I think their manager said it was one of their best games they've played till now. Now, if that means that if they play so well, we can still come up with a 2-2 and having more chances than them, then we're not in such a bad place as maybe all the people will tell us we are. So we just analyze it as we always do and prepare ourselves for the next one. I think I've decided the whole lineup already, but in many ways people have tried to get to know what the lineup is. But I know. Yeah, I know, but I said many times that there are many things going into a lineup, and that's the same for tomorrow again. So you will find out tomorrow what arguments there are, and if they've asked me before the game and after the game, I'm always more than happy to answer those questions. But first of all, I think the players should know how we're going to play, and if all of them are available, that is also something we have to find out.
Josh, what do you make of Arne Slot's comments there? Because he said he thinks he knows the starting 11 that he's going to put against Tottenham, not giving much away. How strong do you think he's going to go? Because Liverpool this season have been absolutely sensational. Only one defeat all season. That was to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, look, Liverpool have the luxury of players that we don't have. So even rotating a squad, you've still got a pretty strong lineup. I mean, let's just take a look at some of the subs from the Man United game. There you go. Federico Chiesa, Bradley, Elliott, Endo, Kelleher, Nunez, Kwanzaa, Jota, Tsimikas. I would suggest that Tsimikas is probably the weakest of the players there. All the rest are, and even Tsimikas is not a bad player. They're all good players. I would expect to see Diogo Jota play purely because I think that he could do with the minutes, and Darwin Nunez. I think they've got enough in their squad that if they go with Nunez, they're not going to, and he did get booked, it's not that big a loss for them in the second leg. I would also imagine Kelleher will start. I think he'll go back to, now that Alisson's back to his usual role of being that sort of cup goalkeeper. Be interesting to see what happens with Konate because he's just come back from injury. And whether they want to give him more minutes to sort of bed in. I would be shocked if they went with Konate and Van Dijk, because obviously they've got Champions League games and, you know, they're trying to win the league, but then they may think, well, it's the first opportunity for Arne Slot to win a trophy. And Liverpool are cruising in the league and cruising in the Champions League as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those very fortunate positions Arne Slot has where no matter what team he puts out, it's going to be a very strong team. And I think on paper, it's going to be a stronger team than what we can field. But, you know, I wouldn't be shocked if he did rest a few players. I would imagine there will certainly be a mix. I would be stunned if all of a sudden Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, Van Dijk, Salah, you know, Diaz, Gakpo all don't play. I can't see that. I think there'll be a mix. But as I say, I think probably you'd look at maybe 3 or 4 of those players that were on the bench against Man United coming into the side. But they've got the luxury to do that. I mean, what a squad they have. And I think probably it's fair to say have the best squad in the Premier League and one of the best squads in Europe as well. I think only Chelsea really rival them in terms of depth. But as I say, look, it's a cup game. I do just feel I do feel like we need to not just win, but we need to win with a bit of a margin to give ourselves the best possible chance, because we all know how difficult it is at Anfield. And certainly I think
4, 5, 6.
Well, no, but look, I just think that if Spurs win, say 2-1, right?
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not going to complain at that because we're beating Liverpool, right? That's the important thing, win. But there is an element of, I think, if Liverpool did lose the first leg, they would go full strength in the second leg. And if we don't have players back, that might be, you know, a stretch too far for us. But yeah, I think if we can win by a 2-goal margin and hope, then, you know, we've got a good chance. Look, Newcastle is it 2-0 up at the Emirates right now?
Yeah.
As good as Newcastle have been, I think people probably, certainly I would have predicted Arsenal to win that first leg. Because I think everyone would fancy Newcastle at St James's Park. That just shows, right? The cup can throw anything at you. So yeah, look, I'm quietly optimistic that because it's a cup competition and Liverpool may just have bigger fish to fry. Look, I think it would be stupid to come here and be on the podcast and say that we have no chance. But at the same time, I'm not exactly expecting us to win against Liverpool. So I think my expectations are probably shifted a little bit, as I suppose quite a lot of fans' expectations will have shifted. And I don't think, you know, Postecoglou's era at Tottenham or time at Tottenham should be defined by this semi-final against Liverpool, because I'm looking again to the FA Cup and the Europa League as opportunities to win something. You know, if we go out at the semi-final now and then go out early in the FA Cup and Europa League, it's a different conversation. But, you know, I think we can all hold our hands up if we do go out to Liverpool and say, well, you know, we've had a lot of injuries. It's not been a great moment for the team, regardless of how brave we want to play. Liverpool just are superb, and I think we could all probably agree that Liverpool was the best team that rocked up to play us this season so far. So yeah, I'm quietly optimistic, but then again, I always am before a game, before we get undoubtedly disappointed again.
Interestingly, though, Josh, Arsenal and Newcastle have both gone extremely strong in this tie, in this first semi-final. And as we mentioned, the second leg takes place 4 weeks later, so we would expect a lot of the first team players to be back. And Ange Postecoglou could have a very, very different squad in 4 weeks' time. G, before I come to you, there's a short clip here from Ange Postecoglou on what he made of the Liverpool v Manchester United game on Sunday, the 2-2 draw. He was asked, is it a nice time to play Liverpool right now?
And what did you make of the game at the weekend, the Manchester United-Liverpool game? Liverpool have obviously been the standard setters this season, but maybe they looked a bit vulnerable. Do you think it's a nice time to play them?
I don't know if it's a nice time to play them. I thought it was a good game, and I thought, Manchester United really sort of lifted their intensity levels and, causing problems. But at the same time, Liverpool still had, you can still see the quality they possess. They still created opportunities. They're always a threat. They're like I said, they're a top side. They're really settled. I think they've just got just about everyone fit and healthy. They can rotate players, so they're in a good moment, and it's going to be a great challenge for us.
Gee, what do you make of that game, Liverpool 2, Manchester United 2? And does it make it worse, the fact that Liverpool weren't at that level that they've been at all season? Because as I mentioned, they've only lost one game in all competitions all season under Slot. And of course, this weekend they face Accrington in the FA Cup. So you would think that they would go fairly strong in this game, would you not?
Yeah, I think so. I think they are strong anyway. We've just said about what they've got on their bench. You know what I mean? Any one of those players could get into our side, no problem. It's what Liverpool have done ever since Poch. They gave them the backing, didn't they? They've been backed, and this is where they are now. I firmly believe that they've won you might as well give them the league now. They've won the trophy. Do you know what I mean? For the league. But really, that side they've got there is quite immense, and I think no matter what he puts out, it's going to be a real test for us, with what we've got. Unfortunately, it's the way it is. But I'm optimistic, as I always am, until when it happens. I think that's it, mate. That's where we are.
Gee, so far in the competition, Spurs have beaten Coventry, and we very nearly went out to Coventry, by the way. We got the equaliser in the 88th minute through Brennan Johnson, then, of course, the winner through Jed Spence in the 92nd minute. That was a weird game, that. A lot of changes made in that game from Postecoglou, and that was a poor performance, but we managed to get through. And then, of course, beat Manchester City and Manchester United on the way to the semi-finals. Now, Liverpool so far have beaten West Ham, Brighton and Southampton. What have you made of our run so far in this competition?
Good question. We've done some big work in there, like you said. I mean, the Coventry one, we got through that, didn't we? But the other games, I think we deserve to be where we are, considering all what we've had to deal with. And I think for this game against Liverpool, there's no reason why if they don't step it up again, we could do it. Miracles happen, you know what I mean? But I don't think it would be a miracle. I'm not saying that, but I think it's quite a test to this would be quite a test for those players, especially as some of them are still recovering from illness. It wasn't just the injuries; we had illness, didn't we, as well with Graham, whatever. But I think if they put in a shift like they did there, the players we got, then it could happen. It depends who they put out as well. Even though they're strong side on the bench, if they're going to play, maybe they play Bradley and Elliott. I think they brought those on as subs, didn't they, in the last game or whatever. So maybe they brought them on just to get them used to the game for a little bit of play. I'd be interested to see if they're going to play Salah and not. I can't pronounce his name. Begins with a C. What's his name? I haven't really played now. Can't remember his name now. Sorry. Got to have a look on here. See if he's down on here. That's good. Gee, can't even know the Liverpool player name, but he doesn't play a lot. It's like Chelsea, but Chester or something.
Chiesa.
Yeah, sorry,
Chiesa.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. You never know. I think Manchester United did us a little bit of a favour because they were on their case right up to the very end. So that probably pushed a lot of players over the edge that would have had a rest normally, probably made them fight a lot harder than what they thought they would do against Manchester United. Plus, there's a day's difference as well. They played a day after us as well. I'm just trying to think of the positives that could help us out here. Any little thing I can get hold of. But
G, regarding the Spurs goalkeeper, Fraser Forster is now back in training. Of course, Brandon Austin made his debut against Newcastle at the weekend. We've got new goalkeeper in Antonin Kinski, 21-year-old Czech Republic under 21 international, comes from a football family, a very highly rated goalkeeper, good with his feet. Spurs have just forked out £12.5 million for him. Thoughts on the new signing, and do you think that Postecoglou will put him straight into such a huge game, or will he let Brandon Austin play again after his man of the match performance at the weekend, or will Fraser Forster come in?
Great question. I don't know. It's the first time that we actually have an option in a position, I think, no, more or less. We've got three very good options there. I don't know if it will bed him straight into this first game. I think it's a little bit too soon, maybe, for him to get instructions across to him. But I think Austin did particularly well, deservedly man of the match by a lot of people. So I think between him and Foster, I think I would actually prefer. I don't know if I had the luxury of being a manager here, didn't have to do whatever I wanted to do. I think I'd go for Austin again. I'd love to put the new guy in, see what he's like, but I don't think this is the game to do it. And I think we've got enough other fish to fry on the field that we've got to get right for this game. But I'd like to see Austin have a go. I think he was really, really good. I like the way that he stepped up as well from his line. He was out towards the box more. He was very, he was very confident. I was so impressed with the guy, actually. I think this has been a thing as well about a lot of the players we've had. Look at Gray and Dragston, everybody, they kind of have hit the ground running. We never had that before with a lot of our players. In fact, some of them, do you remember the 7 that we had or whatever it was? Some of them never hit the ground at all. So, I think it'd be good to give him another go. I think he deserves it anyway on the performance that he put out, and he really stepped up. Austin really stepped up, and I would like to see him there. I don't want to see Foster go there and start tap dancing and messing up with his feet, and then we lose, and that would just be cruel, to him and to all of us, I think. Anyway, so I'd like to see Austin there myself personally if I had the choice, but we'll see.
Alex, let's come to you. What have you made of Liverpool so far this season? Because Slot has come in. I don't think many people actually, and I think this is fair to say, I don't think many people in the summer would have put Liverpool down as title contenders. Do you think?
I think he's shown exactly why I don't rate Ange Postecoglou. Now it's very early. I have to say this because I think the second season is when you really start to see what a manager's all about. But for me, I think it sums it up that he hasn't made them many signings, that he's actually made some of those players better individually. You see what I'm saying? And you see different sides of their game. I don't see it with my manager at the moment. That's exactly why I don't rate my manager. I see somebody who's adapting as well, which is another thing as well. Yes, against Manchester United, they got the better of them, but then Amrin's got to get a lot of plaudits because you see exactly what he tried to do. He adapted again You see what I'm saying? And this is where I think the difference is with a good coach and a manager. And Andrew's a manager, he's a coach. And I can establish that straight away by what he's done. He's very calm as well. So I can understand now why people are very clambering for him to come to Tottenham. But again, you know, we have to see how the season goes, because, you know, you can have a good first part of the season. We see how the second part of the season goes. But let's be honest here. He's had 2 games a week, right? And he's marshaled that very, very well. And he's still in all the competitions right now. He's top of the Champions League table. He's top of the league at the Premier League. He's still in the Carabao Cup. He's still got the FA Cup to come. So for me, that just shows you how a manager, a coach, marshals his squad. You know, he's getting the best
squad,
out of
great squad as well.
Yeah, it's a good
Actually,
squad. But the thing is, but he's utilising. Yeah, but he's utilising his squad, which is what Ange's not doing. When Josh made the excuse about Daniel Levy right earlier, saying, "Oh, Daniel Levy." Well, I'm not being funny. He's backing him, by the way, Daniel Levy. So there's no excuses anymore.
He is now. I think he is now. I think he is.
He's backing him right now. If Ange, I'm sorry, I've got to come back to that point, because you made an excuse again, Josh. The point is, right? If Levy was not backing him, he was sacked him by now, because the record don't look good for this guy, right? He's sticking with him with the record, him losing more than he's winning. And let's be honest here, he's worse than Christian Gross. Right? So I'm sorry. Like I say, to go back onto the point about what is it, Arne Slot, right? You can see exactly what he's all about. He's about,
that was the question, by the way.
Adapting to his to his squad, and to utilising the players that he's got. And so that's impressive for me. That is impressive for me. I've got to be honest. You know what I mean? So that you know, yes, we need to see how he is next season, because that's the whole point of next season. You see what I'm saying? But I have to be honest, you know, that's where I'm at the moment, and that's why I think I can see why people were clambering for him to come to Tottenham, because I do think he's been very impressive this season. I've got to be honest, with a squad that he hasn't really added that much. You know what I mean? And utilising a lot of players. Salah's been absolutely fantastic. I've got to be honest. He's the sort of quality. Now that's world class for me. You know what I mean? Diaz is beautiful. Oh, he's brilliant. Oh my gosh. I wish I had a player like that. Trent Alexander, oh my gosh, he's got a right foot to die, honestly. And then you got Van Dijk.
This is the most positive things I've ever heard you say.
A proper centre back.
It's about Liverpool.
I like football. As you say, you know,
not exactly hard, is it?
It's
not exactly difficult.
Yeah, but what do you want me to do?
It's back to the hill ever since we played him in the Champions League.
Yeah, but it's just like, Chris, I am answering your question, by the way. It's just I'm trying to just say the point. You know what I mean? But the point I'm making is that you see the what he's utilising, and he's coaching them. You know, and Andrew's complaining about time. This guy's had hardly that much time, and look what he's doing with it right now.
A fantastic squad, a full squad of players. Come on, man! You're messing with me right now. You're messing with all of us. I know it. Chris, you put him on here. You've given him a script or something, and you've gone, whatever you can do.
You must be joking. There's no scripts here.
Spurs fan, get on with it. You know what I mean? Arsenal fan TV, they had theirs. We've got to have our yin and yang on there, and I think this is where it's going to. I can't believe, man. You just.
Gee, it's funny how you should say that, because Alex, I wasn't going to mention this, but I will mention it now. At the stadium the other day, someone actually stopped me and said, "Is Alex a character, or is he really like that?" Do you want to answer that?
Listen. Like I say, all I'm going to say is this, right? Go and watch my last show on why I don't back Postecoglou, and then you get everything why I don't like what I'm seeing at the moment. That's all I've got to say. Yeah, on Mr.
Then is any of it just add as an guess? That's all I've got to say. What you've just said on here tonight?
Another plug. Another plug. Go on.
That's all I've got to say. Just so people can understand exactly what I'm saying. I'm on my own, making noises, and if you don't know, get to know that, and that's it. Back to you, Chris. I'm done. If you don't know, get to know. I've had enough of this. Sorry, not had enough of the show. You know what I mean? I love the show.
Irish Hotspur says here, and Dave, you must come back on the show very soon. We've missed you. Good to see Mr. Waffle and Celebration Police in the house. Big up to you, Dave. Hope you're well. Happy New Year. Alex, I'm going to stay with you because VAR will be in place for the Carabao Cup semi-finals. This includes the first use of in-stadium VAR announcements in English football. As part of the trial, referees will announce over the stadium public address system the final decision following a visit to the VAR pitchside monitor or upon the conclusion of factual matters such as accidental handball by a goal scorer or offside judgments. Only the final decision will be announced in the stadium. Now, Alex, before I get your opinion, let's get the opinion from Ange Postecoglou on this because he is clearly not a fan.
I know at the weekend there were some refereeing decisions that bemused everybody, not only in your game but maybe in other games too, and the only people that would have seen what VAR was actually discussing were the people involved with the VAR decision. Tomorrow night though, we're going to see with VAR, everyone in the stadium will be told by the referee why the decision's been made and for what reason. Do you welcome that? Do you welcome the fact that now the spectators, even if it is only for this competition and a one-off, will actually be a part of the VAR decision?
Do I welcome it? No.
Do you think it's fair that they should be able to listen?
Do you think if they had shown the handball on the weekend that our supporters would have been happy? Would they have come away and said, oh, that's great, they explained it? But at the same time, I have to accept that it's coming in. I have to accept that this is the way forward. I have to accept that I have to be a part of that. And so, but it shouldn't surprise anyone if I'm not a sort of cheerleader for those kind of things.
Alex, what do you make of this? Because Ange said, imagine if they had showed it. But this is more about an announcement. So I don't know whether they will be showing it in the stadium as well. But he's absolutely right. If they did show that decision that they made at the weekend, the stadium would have gone absolutely mad.
We've been lynching. Absolutely.
I just think this is where I've got a. I feel sorry for the fans here because I'm there at the stadium myself. I think this what is it? This technology. I think for me, I think I need to explain the decision to the fans who are at the stadium because
yes,
I was at the Chelsea game last year, and the thing that annoyed me about the Chelsea game, I was on the other side. I was on the north side, and the incident happened with Romero, and I had to ask a fan what's actually going on, and I was like there for about 5-10 minutes or something like that, and I was just like, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of this VAR because I don't know what's going on. Like on the like people watching it on the TV, they can know what's going on. But me paying my money, all that money to go, and you can't. I don't know what's going on. That for me should not happen to a fan that's actually. You should at least know what's going on. Yeah. That's where the frustration is at the end of the day. You know what I mean? I just think, and then when you score a goal or what is it? And there's a question mark if it's offside or is it a foul or something like that, or something's happened. There's like a long stoppage, and you just think, oh, it's not VAR again. No, it's not. No, it's not. Oh no, it's not that again. Oh my gosh. And so it's like there's one time it's just like there's one decision that was I can't remember the game, and it was just like, and I was like, oh, just make a decision. Just make a decision because it's getting on my nerves. Then it's like offsides. That's annoying. That is the most annoying thing going. It's like it's either a goal or it's not. Just make a decision. Just make a decision, right? And explain why. Just make the decision and explain it. So at least we know what's going on. Yeah, because it's a pain. It's such a pain, and it just gets my goat in the stadium. Because especially when it's cold, you're sitting there thinking, "Oh, you're having a laugh. Get me out of here. I've had enough of this." You know what I mean? So yeah, that for me is just that for me is what frustrates me at the moment about it, and I'm glad they're trying to do something for the match going fans because I think they get lost. I think they get lost in the whole experience of it all. I think it's just pathetic for me, and it's got to a point where it's just like, well, okay, if there's such a question mark on the decision, don't make the decision then. It's not the right decision then, isn't it? You know what I mean? You know, so that's the only thing. That's the only thing that really gets my goat a lot. Because if you're sitting in a stadium, it's just like it really just like then the long extra time, and it's just like, oh, for goodness sake, it's just
having to scrutinate everything for such a long time. Then surely just give it. You know what I mean? Say, no, forget it. It is, yeah, whatever. You know.
So, and I actually do agree with what even though I don't agree with a lot of things he says, and for Sokoglu, because I think he waffles sometimes. But the point is, I do think he makes a good point about it, that, you know, why do you need it? You know what I mean? It's just adding to, you know, making the referees just even more, you know, not making decisions right. You know what I mean? Or, you know, it's just a pain. It's just a pain for me.
Here's a solution for match-going fans, because I too got a season ticket. Scrap it. Just get rid of VAR. I'm sorry. The game is so gone now. I'm sick of it. You know, if I want to watch a referee explain their decisions, and I saw they did it in the Women's World Cup, I think, and it was okay. If I want to watch that, I'll watch rugby. If I want to watch decisions back, football was not designed to have technology. When we all of us, it doesn't matter what age, unless you're like a toddler now, it doesn't matter what age you are, we all grew up watching football without technology. Has it really improved the game?
No, it's not.
I enjoyed, and I must say, look, there are times where it's terrible, you know, and decisions go against you when even without VAR, right? But I used to enjoy that conversation and that debate over this or that decision. And I think in many ways, as much as, you know, I think we've all grown up to dislike referees, there's at least an element of saying, okay, well, they are human, they'll make a mistake, and the game happens very quickly. Now that VAR's come in and they're trying to do all this, that, and the other, it's not helped by programs like RefWatch on Sky Sports News, where Dermot Gallagher basically agrees with everything the referees have done over the weekend. And then you've got Michael Owen not holding Howard Webb to account when they go through some of the decisions, right? That doesn't help. And I just think that I just don't understand what they're trying to achieve here. I really do not understand what they're trying to achieve. And the fact that we're now in a situation where, you know, offside, which should be a black and white decision, right? It is or it isn't.
Yeah.
You've got incompetent people drawing the lines wrong. And it's like, that's your one job, is to get that right. And you can't even draw the bloody line correctly. That's what you're getting paid to do. I just think get rid of the whole thing. It's just nonsense. It
feels just lately, though, that the ref gets it wrong and the VAR are backing him up. I mean, that handball, come on. I mean, I actually think there would have been a riot if they'd even tried to explain it.
It's not improved the game in one bit. It was meant to get rid of debates around, you know, wrong decisions, but now the debates are a whole nother level. And all it does is waste time. Yeah, it wastes so much time in the game. You're standing there, and especially in a situation like the Newcastle game, you know, and actually maybe that wasn't the best example to use, but for example, a situation where Spurs have played absolute shit, we're losing, it's freezing cold, it's pissing it down. The last thing I want to do is wait 2 minutes for them to make a decision about something. You know, just get on with it. I just think that sometimes, you know, it feels like, and it just, I don't know, it feels like an ego trip for the referees.
Josh, also, it's no good for us. We can't have that. We're the I think the top team at the moment for actually restarting from, you know what I mean, getting on with the game, because that's how we play. The teams that slow us down and try to make fouls and everything else, you know, like Newcastle did, they're loving it because they're getting this VAR on top of it as well, or whatever. They're absolutely loving this. And for our game, it's just crucifying it. It's not just our game. Any game of momentum is just Everything comes down.
In fact, you know what? Someone in the comments has said, asked me to give an example of the line drawn wrong. And I'll give one. And it annoys me, even though it benefited us against Liverpool. But the Luis Diaz offside goal.
Yeah, that was silly.
The line, it's as much as it helped us. And, you know, I'm not going to complain with the fact that we won the game. But a decision like that is just sickening. It's absolutely sickening. If you look at it and if you can take your tribalism away for a second and you can just look from an objective point of view and not as a Tottenham fan, it's a disgusting decision.
I agree with you, Josh.
It's the first time we've had stuff like that happen.
I agree with you, Josh. The thing that annoys me about the offsides is that when you're scrutinising over little things like an arm, which you can't score from, you know what I mean? You can't score with your arm, can you? You know what I mean? If your leg is offside, I understand, but it's like your arm. You know what I mean? It's like, come on.
And where's
you know
where's that point of contact on the ball? Exactly. Do they always get that right?
Well, that's the point I'm making, and this is where I'm saying at the moment it's like you have to be absolutely perfect. And so for me, you know, this is again going back to match going fans at the end of the day. I just think it's a painful thing for the match going fans. You know what I mean? Because it's just like it's either a goal or it's not. That's why I like the goal line technology. It just comes up straight away, boom, done. Yeah. Don't need to worry about it. You know it's a goal, done. You know what I mean? But the
day they can put a device inside the ball and another one on everybody's body, you know what I mean, to actually get it.
But the other thing that I find really interesting is the fact that as much as I cannot stand VAR, I do like goal line technology, and I think that
I agree with you.
The Frank Lampard the goal against Germany. But why is it that in the Champions League, VAR is so much better? And in other leagues, like, for example, the Bundesliga, and even in Serie A, I think it's used a lot better. Here, it's just not used well at all. And so maybe there is potential for it to be all right. I still don't like it. But I think that shows even further how incompetent these officials are in this country. Because it's just so much better in Europe. So much better.
Yeah. Even the Euros, Josh. I thought the Euros. I thought that was exceptional there compared to Premier League football. And everyone goes on about the Premier League being the best league in the world, but we've probably got the worst officials. You're absolutely right. Last question for you all before we move on to the transfer update with Josh. G, score prediction for this game on Wednesday. Of course, it is going to be a very difficult game. How do you think this game is going to go? Because, of course, we only played Liverpool a couple of weeks ago. It ended up 6-3, a mad scoreline. Do you think it's going to be similar? What are you thinking?
I think we could do. I mean, it wasn't just the 3 we scored there. We also scored a 4 and a 5 and a 3 and another 4. No, I think in the previous games before, you know, we had a bit of a run where there was high score lines, you know, like Southampton and whatever. But I think for this one could be the same way. Yeah, I think you'd have to definitely be Harry Potter to work this one out, or some psychic. But I think if we turn up on the day with the players that we do have, that's what it's all about. And we're facing if they're full strength side, then I think we'd be lucky to keep it within a 1 goal difference. You know what I mean? But if they don't, if they come out with their bench and they give us a little bit more of a chance, as it were, then we could be a lot more. But I think anyway, realistically, we're looking at a lot of goals again, probably one way or the other. You know, so I won't give you an exact, because we don't know the team. You know what I mean? We don't know who's going to turn up on the day, who's going to be out there. But if it's our team turning up, it's our squad of players, the ones that we have right now. If they give us, they have been getting just recently, like in the last game or whatever, then I think we could do quite well out of it. Maybe we could get a draw, or we'd win like 2-1. Overall, though, if you're talking about the overall, I think we're out of this competition by the next one. And I'm the most optimistic person when it comes to Spurs, but I can't see us going to Anfield and doing it there, no matter what the score is at the lane. I'm an old school, sorry, at Spurs.
Which 2 teams do you see in the final then, G?
Well, you got to say that I thought this was going to be the Gooners and Liverpool are going to take it. You know, I think they will. I think, like I say, I think you can give them the lead.
Newcastle's going to blow a 2-0 lead.
I think they. I think it could be done. Yeah, I think it could be done. Will Saka be back then as well? Is I don't know.
Probably not.
No, maybe not then. I don't know. No, it could be tight, but I still think they've got to be favourites for it. You know, Newcastle are a little bit hot and cold, even though they're on a good run right now. They're not all. You know what I mean? They should have buried us at the weekend. Really, realistically, they should have done. You know what I mean? Like a lot of goals. What was all that? Defending is just trying to keep being one goal up and trying to defend that. I thought that was really weird. You know. So, and the cup games are always different, aren't they? You know, you know what it's like, you know. But in my heart, we're going to win it like 4-0. But in the reality of it, you know, come on. You know.
We need that Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to be absolutely buzzing on Wednesday, and it's sad to see that there are a lot of tickets left still available for people to purchase. So if you haven't purchased your tickets yet, get online and book them in, because you know the team needs your support. Alex, will you be there Wednesday?
I possibly might be, because if there's tickets available, I might have to go for it. I might have to
get online now, Alex. Book those tickets up.
Yeah,
we need your positivity in that stadium, Alex.
Yeah, I'll try, Chris. Maybe some honesty as well. You must love me. But by the way, I've got to say hello to David Harris. Yeah. By the way, love you, David, but you do waffle a lot, by the way, mate. Anyway, moving on. It's a private joke. Don't worry. I love him. You know what we're like, Chris. We've been for years like that. But yeah, I predicted us losing 2-1 because I don't think he's going to adapt.
I'm shocked.
No, I just don't think he's going to adapt. I think Manchester United shown us what we should be doing against Liverpool. Right, I think Amrin's shown us he adapted very well. He did a back five, right, and kept it tight and just went on the break. And I think that's what, ironically, the Man City game, which is an anomaly now, right, we played on the counter attack mostly, right. We let Man City have the ball, right, and we just countered on them, right. And since then, we've not learned. I think we are a better on the counter-attack. Look at the players we've got, for me. We're trying to play this nice football, which we don't play nice football. I don't think we're a nice footballing team. I'm sorry, right? I don't think we've got the players to do it, as far as I'm concerned. But also, I don't think the coach to do it. I think we're trying to play this fast. And yeah, sometimes it comes off, but sometimes it's just not very good. I think you need somebody just to put their foot on the ball, like some Liverpool players do, put their foot on the ball and just pass it around. When I look at players like Lukic and Sanderberg, they just play around, recycle the ball, and then hit them. You know what I mean? And I think that's what you might need to do against Liverpool. Sometimes you just got to keep it tight, and sometimes then hit them. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's where I think the mindset of what we should be doing. And I think we've got a chance if we good defensively, don't let be strong in midfield. Now that's where the battle is going to be won for me, right? And then if we can be clinical up front, right, it depends on. And the problem is at the moment, Son's not on form at the moment, and you can't really trust Timo Werner. And then you've got Johnson there who can't get past his man. And the only thing he can do is just go hang and score a goal. So we're going to have to try and figure out how we're going to, because you can get at Trent Alexander. You can get at some of their backline. You can do it. But it's just, you've got to be clever for me. And this is where I think we're going to struggle for me. Kinski's got to play. Kinski's got to play for me. I'm adamant about it. I'm sorry. He's got to play. You don't make a signing like that and just put him on the bench. You just don't do that. You know what I mean? I just don't.
Alex, what's your score prediction?
2-1. I said 2-1.
2-1. Yeah. The full-time whistle has just gone, by the way. Arsenal 0, Newcastle 2, goals from Isak and Gordon. So that is going to be an interesting one in that second leg. Josh, score prediction for the Wednesday game, Spurs-Liverpool?
I have no idea why I'm saying this. No idea. Totally illogical. but I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs. I don't know why, because we do this. We do this as Spurs. We just be absolute dross for ages. And then out of nowhere, we just pluck some weird result out our arse that we shouldn't, be able to pull off. But we do it. It's very weird. But it's the most Spurs thing ever. I don't know why. I think we'll win 2-1. I'm not saying that we'll get through the tie. I think Anfield is probably a step too far. But I can just see a situation where, probably what happens is we go and beat Liverpool 2-1 and get rolled over on BBC One in front of the whole nation against Tamworth at the weekend. That would be the most Spurs thing to do. But yeah, I don't know why. I'm hoping for once this season, bar maybe Carabao. I think Carabao was the best atmosphere we've had all season. I'm begging that there's an atmosphere. My God, that place is just, it sucks the life out of you when you go. It really does.
Can I just ask G and Alex, do you want to stay around for Josh's update on transfers, or do you want to call it a night?
No, it's good.
I'll keep myself quiet for Josh. I'll keep myself quiet. I'll behave myself.
What about you, Chris? What do you predict? Just out of interest.
What do I predict? I've said this the last 4 or 5 preview shows now. I've no idea, G. Like you said earlier, we can score 4 or 5. We can also concede 3, 4, or 6. So who knows? It just depends what Tottenham turn up.
Score, Chris. You always say that.
I've no idea.
Score.
Okay,
no idea. I'd love to see a 2-1 like you, Josh. Is it realistic? It depends what side Liverpool put out. I think it depends what Tottenham turn up. There's a lot of factors. But hoping for a win, obviously. I want to see us lift a trophy. But I think the second leg, even if we get a win on Wednesday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, that second leg, how many times in my lifetime have I driven up to Liverpool and driving home has been a really, really, really long way home after defeat. We just do not do very well up in Liverpool, which is really, really frustrating. There are certain grounds where we just don't seem to do so well. And I'd love to see that mentality shift and that change in us going to big stadiums where we've really struggled over the years and start winning at these places. But Liverpool, got to be realistic about it. Liverpool are very, very strong. Their second 11 is very, very strong. They've got a lot of depth. I think that we've got a long way to go in terms of depth. So, but it is the cup, like you said earlier, Josh. It is the cup, so you never ever know. Anything can happen in cup competition. So, fingers crossed.
Very well with Isak, didn't he? Isak, he really did. I mean, I saw some stats, and he had him in the pocket all the way, apart from the goal. Yeah. But he really did. And Spence, against Liverpool, he was phenomenal up against. It was Spence, wasn't it? If I remember rightly, yeah, it was against Salah. That's right, no?
Yeah. Do you know what?
Go on,
No, go for it, Alex.
I think. I wouldn't say that Gray was that great. I think he's okay. I think he's done okay. I think for me, but for me, I have to disagree with you, Chris. I think at the moment, the teams that have caused Liverpool problems have been Nottingham Forest, who won, right, because they were defensively sound, right, and Manchester United, who should have won that game. Let's be honest here, because Maguire should have scored that goal, right, because they kept it tight, right, and resolute in that midfield, right, and kept it strong defensively, and they hit them on the counter attack. And when they had their chances, they were clinical, right. So I think if Ange Postecoglou adapts, not just go out and just say, "Here we are, mate," right, and does what he done against Man City, you've got a chance. You know what I mean? Because you saw they struggled, right? But this is where it goes back to the manager, because at the end of the day, you can't just go out. Because the thing is that the best manager, right, of the last decade has already said, I need to adapt. This is occasion right now, right? You've got your home fans at the moment, yeah? Right? Regardless whether people are going to be excited or not, I'm not that sort of person, right? He's got to show it to me. But the point I'm making is Liverpool and Nottingham Forest Man United and Nottingham Forest have shown us the blueprint of how to tackle that Liverpool side when they're at full strength, right? So for me, if Ange Postecoglou was watching on Sunday, there's your blueprint right now. What to do?
He's not going to sit back and defend and do. He's not.
Well, this is where we're gonna lose it, because if we're gonna use all our energy, Liverpool are gonna soak that up and just went boom.
And the thing is, the likes of City, like these people, like these teams, City and Liverpool, it's not that we're sitting back and soaking it up. These are great teams. They're making us do that. I don't even think Ange had that plan. I don't think it was, to be honest with you. I can't see why that would be. I think we've got no choice half the time. You know, they're so good. They're so well prepared. They've been playing like this for what seems centuries to a lot of us. You know what I mean? He's not going to do that. He's not going to put that pressure on our centre backs and whatever to play like that against Liverpool and think that we can just get away with a 0-0 or something, or a 1-0 or something, and then go up there and win it. You know what I mean? It's never going to happen.
But I think we should have an opportunity to take this game and to Liverpool and have a positive result. But he has to adapt. He has to adapt, because if he doesn't adapt, you're just going to have the same thing that happened against in the Premier League. For me, that's all I've got to say. Back to you, Chris. I'm done.
Alex, you mentioned the word exciting, and this is going to be the last question before we get Josh's update on the transfers. I know we've had a little bit of banter, and I know we normally have a little bit of banter on this show when you're on, because of some of your opinions with some of the viewers. When was the last time you were happy watching Spurs, and when was the last time you felt really excited? And also what I wanted to ask is, what's your favourite memory of supporting Spurs so far in your lifetime?
A memory was when Gareth Bale scored that winner against West Ham. It was Villas-Boas away from home. There was a reason for that, because it was a really bad time that time, and I was sitting there, and it was me and my dad just went absolutely mad, and it was not a great time that time. I'm not going to go on about it. That was one thing. First trophy win with George Graham. That was another thing as well. Pochettino. And I made it very, very clear I didn't like him at the start. Did not like him. I wanted Frank de Boer, but it taken me a season and a half, and then I thought, yeah, this is something different. Definitely something different, and it was just an upward trajectory. Loved him. I loved Harry Redknapp. Absolutely loved Harry Redknapp. Because he brought in Van der Vaart, and that was just like a dream. Seeing people like Berbatov, I loved Sol Campbell back in the day. I loved Ledley King, Dembele, Teddy Sheringham. Those times. It was just after sorry, I can't even get my words out. It was my first interview with you, Chris, when you saw me with Mourinho, and I said I'm not having him. I wasn't having him because I didn't think it was the right decision to sack Pochettino. I stick by what I say. I think we should have got somebody similar to Pochettino, and since then I've not been the same. I've not been the same. I've got to be honest.
Pochettino would have been amazing. We would be like Liverpool now. Imagine that.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of things went wrong. And I stick by what I say. That Champions League final was the worst thing that's happened to this club, because I don't think we've recovered from it. I've got to be honest.
When we first met, though, Alex, you were a lot more positive.
Yeah, I was, but I think it's just. I think over time, I think you start to learn a lot of things, and I mean, obviously, I don't know as much as what Josh may have, because he's, you've got more sources than me, obviously. But I mean, I know what the game should be looking like for me, and under Martin Jol, under Harry Redknapp, and I thought was some fantastic football under Harry Redknapp. I thought we had some fantastic players. Brilliant. Modric, absolutely fantastic, breathtaking. I mean, we had bloody Palacios as bloody a defensive midfielder, and he was very good. I've got to be honest. Crancher, Bell, Burp, what is his name? Pavlyuchenko, Defoe, Robbie Keane. I love Robbie Keane back in the day. You know what I mean? You had Dembele back in the day. You know what I mean? Harry Kane. The things that Pochettino did with with some of the players that really see the likes of day was the coaching of this guy was brilliant. What the things he went through, going through Wembley, and this guy's at this beautiful stadium we're at the moment. He's got luxury compared to what Pochettino had. You know what I mean? You know, and I've got to be honest. I don't think I've felt anything since then. To be honest with you, and I taken a lot when I was younger. You know what I mean? I've taken a lot of disappointment, but you know, I do think we're making a lot of excuses. I think we've had it much worse. I mean, you look at the 90s. I mean, 90s. You know, we won an FA Cup, and it was our worst time. You know what I mean? 1960s. You know, 1980s. You know, I'm sorry. I just think at the moment, I think this club can do so much more, so much more as far as I'm concerned. And I don't think they respect their history whatsoever. And I'm passionate about it as well. You know what I mean? And then the thing I don't think anybody knows about it, and that's it. And sorry, I don't want to go too much because I know you need to do your segment with Josh, but you know, maybe that's another segment for Mr. Box Office TV to really have a bit of a unleash on it, and that's it. Back to you, Chris. I'm done. I've had enough. I'm done.
Another plug. Yeah. Get over there. G. Alex is always wanting guests, so I don't know whether you're interested in going over to Alex's channel and.
That can make a right nice show, I reckon. Nice one.
Yeah. People are tuning in to see you two have a debate.
In a weird way, I do actually get what Alex is saying about Poch, because I just, to me, it doesn't feel the same as it felt then, and maybe he changed the perception of. I suppose it's a manager that made us believe that we could do things that were never sort of before. I mean, certainly for someone my age, I could never see us doing. But even I suppose even under Harry Redknapp, we had squad depth that we don't have now. I mean, we had at one point, I seem to recall, we had Crouch, Defoe, Pavlyuchenko, Keane, and then there was some crossover, and then we had Gudjonsson on loan at one point as well. And we had about 3-4 players in every position. It was crazy. You know, we get rid of, you know, Asu Akoto, and then you've got Danny Rose. And even under Poch, there was a good time where we had, you know, Danny Rose couldn't play, and you've got someone that can fill in. You've got Carl Walker. If he's gone, no, you've got Trippier to come in. We don't have that anymore. And I think that is where my issue with the board is more than anything is, and people always like to say, oh, well, he's backed Ange. He has to a degree, but nowhere near enough. And we've been talking about, I mean, the amount of times we refer to the pod, Chris, when, you know, we were both on together in the summer, we both were agreeing we haven't done enough this summer. And how many other windows is it like that? How did we get from a team that was competing at the very, very top and looked like a team that needed maybe 1 or 2 players, then we could maybe even go and win a Premier League, to we'd be lucky to get top half of the table. We've got no squad depth. We're relying on 18-year-olds to work miracles. The experienced players are letting us down. The atmosphere is terrible. I mean, people have been saying in the comments, like, you know, about Liverpool fans buying up tickets in the home end. I wouldn't be surprised, because every bloody game that I go to is littered with day trippers and people that arrive late, get on FaceTime straight away, leave early, or away fans. Happens all the time. It just, there's something about everything going on top to bottom that just, you know, and the only hope is, you know, a result like tomorrow. If we can go and win, it just keeps the faith going that little bit longer. I really hope, as much as, you know, I have my doubts about Ange Postecoglou, I just hope I'm wrong. I hope he proves me wrong. I hope that the board do something different and that we can somehow get to a point where, And, you know, and everyone says, "Oh, move on from Pochettino." But I think the reason why we all refer to Pochettino is because that was the last time, if you really think about it, that was the last time we all felt genuinely, collectively as a fan base, united to start off with. And you know, you would wake up every morning before a game, you'd be thinking about it the night before, you'd be waking up with the same excitement that you had as a kid going to a game. We haven't had that since. And I think that's why he keeps getting referred to. You know, but yeah.
Well,
anyway,
let's hope that we can get a good result against Liverpool on Wednesday. Now, this is the January transfer update with sports journalist Josh Hughes. Now, Josh, we are 7 days into the January transfer window. We have got just under 4 weeks to go. Postecoglou has said a number of times the club are working hard to get deals done. On Sunday, we got the announcement of Antonin Kinski, the 21-year-old goalkeeper, a Czech Republic under 21 international. We've paid 15 million euros for him. Your thoughts on this signing and other potential signings and possible outgoings, if any?
Yeah, I'll admit I knew nothing about Kinski. I was straight on Google and looking up, you know, what he was about, and I realised that I'd watched him before because I've watched a few Slavia Prague games because they show them on TNT and stuff, but he was never a player that I immediately like. You know, when you watch a game and you're watching a random game of football just because it's on, and if there's a player that stands out, you might remember it. It was never like that for me. So I was kind of a bit like, oh, so that was the Slavia Prague goalkeeper. But I've done, in terms of reading up about him, I think the only opinions that I really care about are Slavia Prague fans and Czech football fans. And if you read what they're saying, it's like the second coming of Petr Cech. But he's young and we'll have to see. I mean, looking at some of the stats and stuff, he seems to be a goalkeeper that is very good with his feet. I think we've all probably watched some highlight reels of him now, and he's got an incredible boot on him. But of course, this is a huge move for a player that young. And, you know, the fact that he has played a lot of Europa League football, I wouldn't be surprised if they throw him in at the deep end because, you know, he has played fairly big teams in, you know, it's not, I know it's the Czech League, but in Europe as well. So that wouldn't surprise me. But, you know, I think when I think of, you know, second choice goalkeepers, I'd never heard of Kelleher before he came through at Liverpool. So, you know, let's give him a chance. Beyond that, I think everyone's looking at Randall Kolo-Muani. That's the player that's being most spoke about this window. Of course, the interest has been confirmed by a number of outlets, a number of journalists now. But from what I'm reading, and certainly the French reports, is that PSG would prefer a permanent sale or as a minimum a loan with an obligation. I've got personal doubts over that because I think we've been burnt by Timo Werner and Kolo-Muani, although I think he possesses some incredible physical attributes and he looked brilliant for France and he was brilliant at Eintracht Frankfurt. At PSG, it's just not quite working for him, and they spent a lot of money on him as well. So, rightly, I think PSG, from their perspective, with a player that's, you know, not too old, they want to recoup some of that money. I think best case scenario, Spurs can do a sort of Kulusevski style deal where you get him in on loan and get him in again and then have an obligation, meaning that, you know, if it doesn't work out for whatever reason, then you're not stuck having to pay an awful lot of money for dead wood. But at his best, I think he would suit Ange Ball to a T. He works really hard. He presses high. He's absolutely rapid. He's got this sort of that luxury where he can play across the front line. He can play kind of on both wings and up top, although I actually think he's probably best as a striker. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him maybe playing off the left. But what he absolutely can do is the thing that I agree with Alex about, which is, you know, beat a man. That's what Brennan Johnson, you know, hasn't been doing. He absolutely can do that. So it's a player that at his best, we've got one hell of a player if we can get that deal done. still a lot of other clubs seem to be interested. There's been no real further movement unless something's happened whilst we've been, recording this. It's one that Spurs have, been sending representatives over. Reportedly, Levy having a good relationship with Nasser Al Khalifi, the owner of PSG, and the board. So let's just have to wait and see. But it sounds like there is some legs to that. Then I think another player that has been all over my Twitter feed today, Spurs fans desperate to see Douglas Luiz join the club. And it's been reported now that there's 2 unnamed clubs that are working on a loan deal. So far, I don't think we know yet whether Spurs are one of them. I think there's been a lot of rumours that City and Villa are those 2 clubs. But I suppose we could all look at Douglas Luiz and say he certainly would improve our midfield. He was brilliant for Villa. And then you're just sort of hoping that Paratici still has that little bit of influence that he can maybe get an advantage over some of our rivals with his relationship with Juventus. Onto a player that I must admit, again, I knew nothing about. Richard Rios, 24-year-old, 6'2" central midfielder, Colombia international, who's playing at Palmeiras. So from the stuff that I've been reading about him, again, this is a player that I think most of us wouldn't have a clue about. I was hoping that G would help us out living in Brazil. 3 goals, 4 assists. Apparently he's got a good strike on him, but he's not really that much of an attacking threat. He's seen as this, some of the reports I've been reading, calling him a phenomenal dribbler. There's been reports that Spurs have made an offer and are going to try and make another offer, links to Wolves as well. But he did win the league at Palmeiras and he is a Colombia international. So that, I think, says something about where his base level is at. But other than that, I mean, it's a player that I hadn't heard of until the other day when it was first mentioned to me. So I couldn't tell you an awful lot about that. But to a player that I can talk about, Jared Branthwaite has once again been linked with Spurs. I think we can shut this one down pretty quickly. There's no way Spurs are going to pay the kind of money that Everton would want for their best defender. Not at a time where they've got new owners coming in. They're trying to survive. There's, question marks over Sean Dyche's future. It's just not going to happen. But one, again, that I don't think is going to happen now. I'm going to butcher his pronunciation here of his name. Abdu Kadir Kusanov, the 20-year-old Lens centre-back, Uzbekistan international. He's being talked about as the next sort of Maldini, if you're going to listen to what people are saying on Twitter. Not that people are right on Twitter, but what is being reported by some of the biggest journalists and transfer journalists in the game, Fabrizio Romano, David Ornstein, is that there is a lot of interest in him. City, Spurs, Newcastle, Wolves. But just recently, in the last day or so, David Ornstein from The Athletic has cast doubt over a move to Spurs, because what we were seeing kind of being floated around was this sort of 20 to 25 million pound fee. But David Ornstein is now kind of suggesting that fee is higher, and Lens are looking at the region of around 33 million pounds. So Spurs may have been deterred from signing a player like that. I mean, if he's that good and all these clubs want him, I mean, he seems to fit the profile of the type of player that Spurs want, the right age bracket. You'd think just go and get the deal done. But one that I think might end up more realistic later on into the window is Ko Itakura, the Mönchengladbach centre-back, Japanese international, 27 years old. He actually spent 3 years at Manchester City without making an appearance for them. But what he has done is, since going to Gladbach, has developed into a real solid player who's very good on the ball. He's in all the sort of higher quartiles of progressive carries, his passing stats. Slight question mark over his aerial ability. I think that's something that's been described as sort of one of his weaknesses, but he is absolutely rapid and he is an experienced Japan international. And of course, with Ange having his links to Japanese football. Perhaps that's a deal that we might see done. The fee being sort of rumoured is around £15 million, which seems to fit the Spurs bracket an awful lot more than a Branthwaite or a Kusanov as it stands. And then the final other player, I mean, it seems clear that Spurs do want to bring in a centre half, is Fikayo Tomori. Again, there's been rumours and interest. I believe Spurs do have a genuine interest in him. He's just won the Super Coppa in Saudi with AC Milan. So whether that adds a little bit more onto a price tag, whether he actually wants to leave the club, I don't know. I think Tomori would be an excellent addition with that pace and with that Premier League experience as well. Then he's gone from Chelsea, obviously, to a really, really big club in AC Milan, where he's playing, at the level of football. And again, I think he just seems a lot more well-rounded. When I've watched him playing for AC Milan, he just seems far more level-headed, far more experienced. And he's had, the ability of playing in different leagues, and he's had that kind of experience. And, of course, he went there quite young as well. So he's still got his best years ahead of him, as far as I'm concerned. I just don't know if that's a realistic signing in terms of transfer fees. Are Spurs really going to go out and spend crazy money? Because I just find with Spurs, there always seems to be this thing where if we're going to go out and spend quite big in January, then that's going to come out of our summer budget. And we're going to then not sign as many players in the summer or spend as much in the summer. It just seems to be a little bit of a cycle at the minute. But whether any of these happen, we'll have to wait and see. I think the one that I'm really keeping an eye out on is this Randall Kolo Muani situation, whether Spurs can get this over the line. I think, as I say, he's a player that if you can get him back to his best, and he's going to have aspirations of getting back into that France selection for the World Cup in 2026. I mean, this is the time to go and get a player. And I choose to be optimistic and say, sometimes it just doesn't work for some players at some clubs. And PSG seems a bit of a toxic club as well. So hopefully that one gets done. But that's kind of the latest that we've been linked with so far this window. But it's still early days. We've still got a few weeks to go and reasons to hopefully be optimistic.
Josh, thank you so much for that very comprehensive update. And as I mentioned, just under 4 weeks to go in this transfer window. So let's hope that Spurs get a lot of business done in the remainder of the window. Alex, have you got any transfer questions for Josh?
I'm interested in Douglas Luiz. I think that would be an interesting one. I think he's a sort of midfielder we need, to be honest with you. Someone with experience, someone that I think is something that we're missing. Someone that he can play that number 6 role that supposedly Ange doesn't like. Doesn't play with number 6. I will be very interested in Douglas Luiz. I think he's a sort of midfielder I think we need, because I think it's something that we haven't got. I know people say about Bentancur, but I'm sorry, I've just not been impressed with him. I've not been impressed with him since he's been injured. I'm sorry, I just don't rate him as much as what I think other people rate him, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I think out of all of them, Muani, I've heard a lot of different opinions about him. And I'm a bit, I don't know whether he would be, I think with this manager, I don't know whether it's going to be suited for us at the moment. Because I just don't think he can make players better for me. So I think I can see why we want to buy him or we'll bring him in. Maybe a 6-month loan, maybe. But yeah, I think, not really a question. I just think the Douglas Luiz one is the one that really interests me. I think that's the one that I think is a good one for me.
I totally agree with that. I think if you could get a player like Douglas Luiz and Randall Kolo Muani in, even if Kolo Muani might take a bit of time to settle, just those as names alone, I think really changes a lot of people's mindset, because they're suddenly, rather than us going and buying someone we've never heard of that's 20 years old that is going to join in the summer, you're suddenly looking at players who have already been there and done that a little bit.
I think he competes with the midfielders. I think he competes at the moment. He competes with the midfielders we've got.
I think he goes in and I think that a player like Douglas Luiz comes in and he's automatically our best midfielder.
Exactly, and compete. He makes Bentancur and Basuma think, okay, now I've got to think about my place now. You know what I mean? That's the thing, and I don't think we've got that at the moment. I don't think we did that in the summer. We didn't get somebody in and say, oh, Bentancur and Basuma, who've been not that great, let's be honest, right? And Sarr, who's been okay. I think Sarr's. I don't think it's improved, but I have given a little bit of credit on certain games, right? But I don't think we've got somebody that that improves on Højbjerg, and he goes in and thinks, well, I'm here to take your place. What are you going to do about it? You get what I'm saying?
I completely agree. In fact, I think that's the one thing that I've said this repeatedly to people, that we did never replace Højbjerg. And as people can rate him or not rate him as much as they want, that experience is something that I think we've lacked. And I think at times, it would have been great to have that experience sat with a Bergvall or a Sarr. And I think Sarr's one that I think is going to be a real superstar going forward. But at the minute, I'm seeing huge signs of improvement from him. But there's also that inconsistency where one game he's brilliant, another he struggles. So having an experienced player like a Douglas Luiz, I think would be the dream scenario, because you could learn off of a player like that. He's also a penalty taker. I mean, he used to take penalties for Villa. So if Son's not quite feeling up to it, you've got someone who can take them there. And he's also an international. He's a Brazil international. So maybe that helps, with some of the dynamics in the squad. I don't really know how they are, but beyond that as well, I just think that you mentioned about the competition. I think this is why I'm so intrigued by the Kinski signing, because Vicario, as far as I'm concerned, there's big question marks over his ability. I think on his day he's fantastic, but also at the same time he can do something that makes you think, have we just signed Hugo Lloris again? So hopefully that Kinski signing, and with the quality that he will hopefully bring, again makes Vicario think. Because I remember when Spurs announced that Kinski deal, the first thing that I saw was Vicario had posted on his story him not walking with crutches.
Yeah,
because he's getting worried. He's getting worried.
So I like that. And we were talking about Harry Redknapp earlier and how much, the depth of the squad. That's all you really want, is you want competition for places, and you want signings where you can say, actually, we're not buying a backup here. We're buying someone who we think can be better than what
I hate that word backup, Josh. I hate that word backup, because when you say backup, you might as well get Harry Winks back. You might as well get those players back that were backups before, like Eric Dyer. You might as well get them back. You
should always be looking to sign a player that improves on your starting 11.
That's the point.
And
we didn't do that in the summer.
And I think Kolo Muani and Luiz would do that.
That's the point.
Let's finally end the show with you. Have you got any transfer questions or opinions on who you'd like to see Spurs sign this window?
I agree with Douglas Luiz. I think that's a good shout. I think it's interesting that we can go with the guy from AC Milan, though. Forgot his name. But he came over from... I have to spit blood when I say it because I hate Chelsea. But, yeah, because we could never do a deal with them. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, I think personally, from where we have to strengthen is a lot. And you're right, no backups. We need people competing for positions, but it's always difficult, isn't it? Because when you get past the second version of that, the competition, there's always going to be someone further down the line that is going to wonder, why would I go to that club? Why would I go to that club when I got a chance of going to City and whatever and competing for a place there? And the other thing is, Why would I go to that club and then be competing with 2 others? Do you see what I mean? So when you've got a third option, it gets a bit dicey. And I think that's always with us. We haven't got that. We haven't got that. We're not Liverpool, you know. We're not in the top 4 consistently anymore. Whatever. We're not always the one that will be in those finals, you know. So therefore, there's a lot against us, you know, for any player to come. It's a strange equilibrium you have to find here with the players coming in, you know. It's not going to be easy, I think. As soon as you start mentioning some of those other clubs as well, I'm thinking, well, if I was a player, would I really want to go to Tottenham, or would I want to go to Newcastle, or seeing as they're in their ascendancy at the moment, you know, or would I want to go to Arsenal or Man City or whatever, you know. I think where we have to strengthen, especially in the midfield, is the main bulk of it. You know, I'd love for us to have another Dembele, somebody like that, you know, and a Modric. So we need an attacking midfielder, somebody who can create. That's what we're really missing, I think. Anyway, no disrespect to Madders, I think he's doing all right, you know, and on his day when he's fit and healthy, he's really, really good. But we do need someone in there. Biss is very much a disappointment for me. I was happy when he came along. But I just noticed this for someone of his age now and what he's done, some of the balls he give away, it's not like they were just senseless. Some of the passes he's been giving away, you know, I don't want to knock him all the time, but it has been true. He's been responsible for a lot of anguish from our back 4, you know, because of him. And we need protectors. So we need protectors, and we need someone who's going to really dictate play and know where to pass that ball in and thread that ball through and create, you know. So we're missing those. I think midfield is our greatest area that we really need to improve on, you know. Once our players are back, I think we're all right. We're okay. We've got people that can step in on a normal day when we've got injuries, the normal amount of injuries. I think we're okay on our back line. You know, we can do it. We've got to strengthen. I want to see Porro. I want to see someone on the right wing. I want to see someone on the left wing as well, competing all the time. There's a lot of places we need to bring in. But I don't think we're going to do it. We're not going to get those players in this window. You know, we might strengthen a little bit, but summer's going to be the time. You know, summer's the time. Who's going to want to get rid of their best players or the players that really matter unless they're on a free by the summer, in which case they're going to take the money. And they're very few and far between still, even though there are more of them. You know, that's my take on the whole January window, actually, not just on what's happening right now. But well done, Josh. Thanks for that as well, for the update on that. Very good. A couple
of people just quickly asking about Dani Olmo. This is a really, really interesting situation, which Barca basically overspent and didn't meet the right criteria in terms of their financial stuff. And Dani Olmo they first had issues registering him when they signed him from Leipzig, and now he's been unregistered, and they're going now to the highest level of Spanish court to try and get him registered. But in such a situation, I think it would allow him to technically sign for someone else for free because he's not registered with the club, so he's technically not their player. But what has been said, and I believe him and his agent have both come out and said he has no desires of playing anywhere else. He wants to be at Barcelona. So as much as I would absolutely love Spurs to sign Dani Olmo. I mean, that would be the level of signing we haven't seen probably since Van der Vaart. You know, as one of the guys in the comments says, Barcelona will find a way, and it just feels like that. When there was the paying of an official, and they had all sorts of corruption charges, and there's all sorts of financial stuff going on with Barcelona, they just always seem to find a way. They get bailed out, they get away with it, and it's the same with Real Madrid as well. So yeah, I don't see a chance of Dani Olmo coming to Spurs, let alone leaving Barcelona, even though this situation is obviously very weird. And if you're unfamiliar with what's going on, do read up about it because it is just bonkers.
Josh, thank you so much as always for coming on, especially given the transfer update. Really appreciated. Where can people find you on social media and what you're up to at the moment?
at Josh Hughes TV on Twitter, and predominantly coming on these podcasts. To be honest, that's the bulk of my time these days. Taking a little bit of a break, so yeah, hopefully Spurs can keep me busy and we can get back to winning ways. And I'm going to put you on the spot here, Chris, but you should take Gareth up on that pub podcast offer tomorrow. Because I'll be down.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll get back to you on that. G, thank you so much for coming back on the channel, and thanks so much for coming on the Spurs Chat podcast for the first time. You've been a great guest, and I hope you've enjoyed Alex as well. How have you found it?
Yeah, no, we're all you guys. You're fantastic supporters, no matter what. With Alex, good one, mate. Nice to meet you. There's no not getting my back up. You know what I mean? I'm too happy with my life and everything to let Spurs get me down to the way we are, way other people react about us. But we're all supporters, and that's the main thing. And well done for the support as well, going to the ground. I miss going to the ground. I used to go all the time. I can't do it here, of course, you know. But you'll find me, by the way, on down there by the beach, or back up here, or getting grounded watching Tottenham. So
I think that's the best answer we've ever had. Where can we find you? Down on the beach. Fantastic. What an answer. Alex, thank you so much for coming back. And do you know what? I think we've made you smile a lot more on this podcast than any other. So I think our work is done.
Chris, I always smile. Like I said, you know what I mean? Because I don't let Tottenham disappoint me anymore. Like I said, every single time, you know what I mean? You know?
Come on, I'm trying to end on a positive here. Come on.
Yeah, you know how it is, Chris. You know what I mean? Because like I say, I you know, life is for living. You know what I mean? You know, and football is just to be honest about. You know what I mean? So, you know, thank you for inviting me. I was surprised when you gave me the email, and I was pleasantly surprised, and it was really nice, really nice.
You're always welcome.
I appreciate it, because not a lot of people appreciate Mr. Box Office, and I like I say, I always say that you're such a nice man, because you're the one that was the first person that gave me the opportunity to interview me at the stadium, and I've not gone looked back since, to be honest with you. So at the end of the day, I always appreciate, and I will never forget, like I said. Like people that I know already, you know, David Harris. I might not agree with him. I still love him as a fan. I've had people that disagree with me. I've got a lot of people that disagree with me. They're one of my good friends. One of them is on Spurs Kings TV, just right now at Smatic. You know what I mean? Don't agree with him, but I love him. He's one of my best people to stream with, to be honest.
We're Spurs fans. We should be sticking together no matter what.
Exactly. So even we disagree, love it. You know what I mean? Absolutely. It's appreciated to have Josh on. You know what I mean? To be on alongside Josh, because I've seen you a lot. Disagree with you a lot, but you know, that's how it is.
Obviously,
don't get used to it, and that's it. But yeah, just to get straight to the point, it's Mr. Box Office TV, the best. The worst, the bang average, if you want to call it, the badass of YouTube.
I didn't ask where we could find you.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know where to find me. You know what I mean? You know, I'm gonna try and switch up a little bit though, because like I say, I can't keep on repeating myself, keep on bashing the manager so many times. I'm not gonna change my opinion, nah. But like my friend Deji does, you know what I mean? Deji, from Deji Spurs, I'm going to be doing a lot of freestyling, you know what I mean? Because you need to enjoy it, you need to be creative. That's what YouTube's all about. You know what I mean? Trying to have a little bit of fun about it, you know what I mean? That's why the song goes like this when we lose. Back to life, back to reality. That's a song that comes on every single time when we lose, and that's it. But it's Mr. Box Office TV, the best show on YouTube, and just keep locked in, and keep subscribing. And I'll hopefully be back soon, and that's it. Back to you, Chris. I'm done. If you don't know, get to know.
I was going to say, do you want to sign off? I tell you, we've got you to sing as well as smile. You've been singing on here. What on earth's happened tonight?
That's why they call me the ratings killer and the entertainer.
Don't do it again, please.
Josh G, Alex, thank you so much for your time, and I hope you've enjoyed it, everyone. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we will be back with another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast after the game, the big game on Wednesday. Spurs take on Liverpool in the Carabao Cup, first leg of the semi-final. Let's hope that we can have a good night, and we will see you after the game. Come on, you Spurs.